All right, I'm here. I'm here. Where's Unc? I'm here. I'm setting up. I was setting up, but we're good. We're done. All right, we're done setting up. Hello. Hi. All right, guys, I'm here. Don't worry. Oh, my camera's a little crooked. Give me a sec. Let me fix this bad boy. Right there. Perfect. Okay. And then put live chat. And before we start reading, I need to go bring in a hang crank. That way I'm at least doing something while we're reading. All right, Unc is here. Unc has arrived. Hello, guys. What's up? Give me a sec. Let me just go get my little exercise thing. I was trying to finish. I delayed stream by 30 minutes today because it's like, let me take Ellie out on the walk. And it's like, let me get a little exercise. We went out for a little run. Look, I got my coffee. I got my big-ass gallon of water. Now let me just get my hang cranks. I'll be right back. Son of a bitch. I lied. It should be in here. What the fuck? Yeah, I brought my clothes. I'll put all my shit over here. One sec. Hold up. I'm actually missing something. Found it. It's right here. Alright. And he's got me back. You should read the next RI chapter, please. Also news, it's back on the web novel. The novel's here. It's back on web novel? Don't worry, hold on. First, let's make our tweet. Live? I'm using Twitter now. I'm using Twitter to say we're live. Live. Then we gotta pick our picture. Live. Reading. Wait, live. Reading. Volume 5. LOTM. Wait, hold up. I'm doing my tweet. The mysterious dollar above the gray fog? You know what? How's your digestion of the stalling scholar potion? Bro, we're shooting for sequence 3. Wait, hold up. Live reading volume 5, Lord of the Mysteries. Join now. I figured I'd do a tweet. And then what hashtags am I using? LOTM, LOM, Lord of the Mysteries, and I think that's it. And then I just put a link of this stream, and then we're good. All right, we're good. So what are the 3-part chant we will make for easy? You know what? Let's if you guys are down to make a new one, I'm down. If you guys are down to make a new one right here while I finish this tweet, let me know. After this tweet, the only thing I'm gonna delete 2 more videos on our backlog. I just saw your tweet username. Guys, be real. It's back on web novel. I just saw your tweet. I just saw your tweet username. Okay. We've tweeted. That is good. We've sent the twat. Don't use the forbidden law. I'm sorry. I had to use it just because it's an acronym now, bro. People use it. I have to. It's not like I can't use it. You know? You know what I mean? All right. This Keith, man, I can't, dude. I still call it Twitter. Till the day I die, I will still call it Twitter. Well, hopefully my day doesn't come until at least after 2035, because we gotta watch the movie, you know? I better at least get another 10 years. All right, that's done. All the social things. All right, last thing. Let me delete. I'm not gonna delete the last reaction. That's a good one to keep. That is a good one to keep. I'm gonna keep that one. LOTM. Let me go on our read through. And I'm gonna just delete these last 3. I'm gonna just gauge it. I'll delete these last 3 reactions because I need to download the VODs instead. Our empty recycle bin. Now we have about 270 gigs of space. All right, that's good. That's perfect. All right, now we get to reading. All right. First thing though, before we read, I gotta mute my phone. Sorry, honey. Gotta mute my phone. Sip my coffee. And now I'm ready. Bro, we use Twitter, but not LOTM. So I'm guessing there's a no RI Mongwa. Probably not username. I kind of want to wait until next chapter. Just because I already missed it on the day it came out. Just because I already missed it. Because I feel weird whenever a mission... don't worry, we're only going to stop for like 2 minutes and then we're going to get into reading. I feel weird whenever I miss like a chapter. It's weird. I don't know if it's because like, oh, it's not going to be good for YouTube, this and that. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I want to wait until like the next video comes out. Or until the next chapter. But I assume chapters are out on... I need to follow their page. That way I know when the chapters come out. That's what I need to do. That way I'm up on it. All right. And then I think we'll be good. I'll do that. I don't know if Unhinged is watching right now. I told him I'd pardon him yes or no. But I actually don't know what he did yet. So I technically can't pardon him yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let me do 20 spaces. And I think that'll be good. Adjuster crank. Because we're going to war. And we need to get fit for the war. Oh, that's a little fucking too hard. Put it like at 30 kilograms. It's chill over. Yeah. What do you mean, dude? It's not over. We're here to read Lord of the Mysteries today. Did my message get filtered? I'm not. I actually don't see your message. I do see it. I'm saying that because hopefully you won't need to stall anymore after you digest it completely. No, we have never stalled an intro. Here we go, Lee. Easy. Are you going to do live streams again or different platforms simultaneously? I wanted to do Twitch. I don't know why it's not working. It's I have it. Like I have it set up. I used Restream, something like that. But for some reason when I was using Restream, it just kept disconnecting. That's a little too hard. Just a little bit, Milosh. You're flying a little too close to the sun with that joke. Yeah, it was just a little bit. It's a little hard to get it working. It's like when I was using Restream, I couldn't get it to work, man. It was just too damn hard. And like every time I'd use it, it kept disconnecting on both platforms. And then it's like, I don't know. No, I meant another message. You guys YouTube shadowed it. Oh, no, I didn't see that one. All right, let me adjust my volume on my end and let's get right to reading. I'm gonna put my volume at like 50 today. All right, and I think we're good. All right, we're fucking good. Are you guys ready? That being said, today should hopefully, knock on wood, be a long, beautiful, lengthy, girthy stream. And if not, it'll be a 2-part stream today. So we'll find out. We'll do it probably a 2-part stream. That way I can get some... That way I can head out for a little bit, get a snack or something. But I'm not sure. But yeah, it's time to lock in. My mom reached 1,003. Your mom? On Mon? She is going with the race easily. She is going to win the race easily. Who? Your mom is winning the race? Damn. No, we got to beat your mom, bro. She's at 1,300. Tell her to slow the fuck down, dude. Tell her to take a day off. Tell her to take a vacation. All right. On this beautiful, glorious day, Lord of the Mysteries. Is there a name for the war? Or not yet? You know what? It's all right. We'll wait and see if we can guess what this war is going to be called. We'll see if we can figure out what this one's going to be called. That being said, let me lower my volume a little bit. And let's get to reading, dude. I'm going to lower my volume just a bit. How does it sound? Right away, I'm going to take one earbud off. And then I'm going to increase this. And then this goes up a little bit more. All right, we're good. Yeah, she's going to finish within 10 days. Fuck, man. Damn. I'm fucking impressed, dude. So what is the name of the pathway the easiest? And according to you guys, what are your names of all sequences? I think we've done that in the past. I remember we set it up like really early on. All right, but chapter 1087 is called The Deities' Attitudes. Oh, to the war. The War of Unks? This war is definitely not called the War of Unks. I know that much. All right, let me do my timestamp so I don't forget. 1 minute, 33 seconds. The War of Unks. All right, are you guys ready to fucking lock in, man? We got a fucking war to read. Chapter 1087 is called The Deities' Attitude. The Grain Act was abolished. The Civil Servant Unified Examination. A consensus was made, bringing the church's forces into the military. These seemed
These seem to be in line with the trends of times, but in essence, they're oppressive, weakening the nobles and supporting a new class. Comparing to the previous 1,000-year rule, this can really be considered to be against the norm. It's the order needed to become Black Emperor. In the past decade or so, the changes in architecture style has been very drastic as well. For Roselle to be able to obtain the uniqueness and obtain the corresponding Sequence 1 Bionic characteristic that ancient secret organizations must have put in quite a bit of effort, it might have even provided part of it directly when this emperor perished. Who took away those characteristics? Also, Bernadette has been in Backland for the past few months and has been coming here frequently, so she probably knows something. The main issue is that the asymmetrical aesthetics of the Empire in the Fourth Epoch have affected my understanding, making me believe that the rules that violate the normal circumstances are odd and against the order that humans would strive for. Now that I think about it again, what does it mean to be normal circumstances? Isn't it something that everyone has already gotten used to and therefore won't have any instinctive sense of resistance towards it? From the tribe to the countries, from feudalism to the republicanism, don't they all violate the normal circumstances of the period that they were in, with countless people wishing to return to the past? The phrase old foiges and foges. The phrase of old fogies and leftovers from the old dynasties encompasses this problem. From the looks of it, as long as a deity doesn't intervene, the revolution of the Black Emperor needs will definitely happen. It's just a matter of time. With the tides of times surging over, it's really hard to stop it. The Brother in Bond is indeed a powerful and terrifying author. In the depths of the Blood Emperor's ruins, there should be a mausoleum similar to a pyramid, and according to the ritual requirements, one has to drive one citizen to build it. Therefore, there are cases of people going missing in the East Borough and overseas slave trade. When the war develops to a certain stage, using the excuse of praying for victory or the nation's mourning for soldiers, a huge gathering with large number of citizens can be convened to participate in the sacrificial ritual in the various cities in the royal capital. So not just the capital, but all the other smaller cities. Yes, many years ago, the Loan royal family obtained the crown of the Balam Empire, and they connected the king's name to the title of emperor. What a great plan. When he alerted the Red Angel evil spirit questions, Klein's mind tensed up. Many thoughts flashed through his mind, and at the same time, he had another question. He looked at the tall, thin, young gatekeeper who didn't look rousy. He said after some deliberation, George III wishes to directly become Black Emperor. But he isn't even a sequence 4. Even if George III could act ahead of time to make himself more talented and reduce the impact caused by the mental imprint in the potion, Klein didn't believe that a sequence 5 Beyonder could become a god directly, unless he was lucky enough with that very slim chance of success. He didn't believe that a sequence 5 could become a god directly? I'm sorry. So it's implying that this dude is trying to go from 5 to 0. Is that what he's, or like he's going to be skipping? Is that what he's saying? Like he's 5, but he just wants to go straight to Black Emperor? That's not good. Klein didn't believe that a sequence 5 Beyonder could become a god directly unless he was lucky enough with that very slim chance of success. And such luck wasn't something that could be described simply as being sufficient. The Snake of Mercury, who represents fate, Will Osterton didn't even dare to directly devour the dire probability, and he had to seriously find a way to accommodate it. So he is on sequence 9. Keep reading. The Red Angel Evil Spirit scoffed when he heard that. How do you know that George III is only sequence 5? How are you so sure that George III under the investigation is the real George III? Could it be that he was imagined into existence, or could it be a faceless at the angel level? Oh. Shit, I don't even think about these things. Yeah, wait, hold up. Like, what if it's not even him? These are truly very difficult things to accomplish, but to a certain zealot, these are within the scope of one's ability and resources and one grasp. I suspect that George III is an official member of the secret organization and was created to mimic our Rose redemption. His true level might already be at an angel level, huh? So he's pretending to be sequence 5. Huh, I wouldn't be surprised if he is already at sequence 1. Oh, shit. This Emperor Result once said that the members of that ancient secret organization are all important figures that couldn't imagine. When they combine forces, other than dealing with the 7 churches, there's nothing that can be done. This actually includes the king of a country. That's right, later on, the Emperor also became the ruler of Entis Zealot. Is this what the Red Angel Evil Spirit thinks of Amon's brother? Although this is clearly a little extreme with the strong biases, there is a certain reason for it. A nickname isn't even given randomly. Klein made his marionette frown slightly. You seem to be able to see through the truth of this matter easily, but why hasn't the Church of the Evernight Storm and the Steam realized this problem? Their understanding of the Black Emperor is no less than yours. After all, the 2 churches of the Evernight and the Storm had supported the Tudor Tunicid United Empire. Damn, I forget how lengthy that name is. No, he's going to advance sequence by sequence, but just do it very quickly. Oh, like rapid fire. Oh shit, what the fuck? I don't think we've ever seen that happen before. Okay, so it's not he's going from 5 to 0. He's just planning to go like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 and like almost back to back. Maybe not back to back, but like quickly. Okay. The Red Angel Evil Spirit wore an amused expression again as he sized up Dwayne Dantes and his valet. How old are you? Why are you still so naive and childish? The 6 deities and the 6 churches are not necessarily equivalent at times. The things the 6 deities know might not be told to the angels and the saints beneath them. The Red Angel Evil Spirit let out a chortle again when he saw that Dwayne Dantes was still frowning in confusion. Trust me what I said and what I'll be saying next. It is undoubtedly a form of provocation to ruin the image of the 6 deities, but you can consider whether it's the truth. Let's put it this way. In regards to someone wanting to become the Black Emperor, the attitude of the 6 deities, the 7 deities, is rather ambiguous. They often have conflicts of their own. More precisely, they are happy to see a mentally sound Black Emperor be born, but they also wish that it's one they support, or therefore, okay, they have to support him. One they support, therefore they will not give any detailed revelations to the various churches. They would only follow the normal procedure and deliver punishment if there are results to the investigation. Otherwise, they will tactfully approve of its development. Of course, during this process, we cannot eliminate the possibility that certain existence might want to do some damages, but it will not be so direct and obvious because it will definitely be stopped by the other deities. If it wasn't because he knew of them taking such attitudes, how could George III dare take the risk? All right, now the war has broken out. He has overcome the crisis. He can wait for the next opportunity. At that moment, Klein thought of the news that had been leaked out during the operation launched at the Blood Emperor ruins. He was momentarily unsure if he should suspect that the upper echelons of the 3 churches had a member of the ancient secret organization, or that a certain deity had personally reminded Amon's brother, and if it were the latter, the suspect was undoubtedly not the Lord of Storms. After a moment of silence, Klein hesitantly asked, so as long as nothing goes wrong, George III will carry out the ritual to become a god, despite everything that he has done, and if everything goes smoothly, and he survives the backlash from the potion, will he ascend to the throne of Black Emperor? I feel like he probably is. Oh, so if it was a spoiler, it's okay. I didn't read it. Wait, I haven't forsaken you yet. Wait. You have not been forsaken or unforsaken. You are still stuck in, like, the abyss, unhinged. Wait, I haven't forsaken you. I just don't know yet. I actually don't know yet what you did. I tried snooping on Discord, but I don't know the full details yet. So you have not been forsaken, but you have also not been pardoned yet. So we're still like on that gray fine line. The Red Angel Evil Spirit replied in a relaxed tone, "Is there a problem? Why would the 7 deities?" Klein couldn't help but ask. The Red Angel Evil Spirit tisked and said, "Do you want to know? If you want to know, I can tell you now." Just as he was about to say, of course, Klein suddenly recalled the warning that Ma'am Ariana had given him. I don't remember. It was a warning. There are some things that make it easier to be infected. The more you know, both your body and the soul will be infected. Once you become an angel, you can seek out the exact answer. I haven't forsaken you yet, but you also haven't unforsaken him. He hasn't been forsaken or unforsaken. So we're still on the fine line. Are these thoughts flashing through his mind? Klein made his marionette smile. Forget it then. You threw me into purgatory, you monster. I didn't throw you into purgatory. What do you mean? Limbo is a thing I see. Wait. I never threw you into purgatory. I still don't know what happened. So I still don't know if I should take you out of purgatory. If that makes sense. I'll hit up OG today. I'll hit up OG. I'll hit him up. I'll hit up OG today, Sonny. My bad. Let me actually... Why is this gaslighting the unhinged that is giving easy? I'll actually speak to OG today because I actually don't even know what happened. Easy, that is not nice. What's not nice? What's not nice? Let me sip my coffee. Wait, why are you guys gaslighting me? I don't know what happened. I didn't throw forsaken. Wait. Do it. I didn't throw him into purgatory. Wait, I didn't even do anything. I don't even know what happened. But bro is edging me. You man. Don't worry. I will speak directly with the mods today. Forsaking your beloved chatter. No. I will speak with the mods today. I'm sorry. I should have done that yesterday, but I went straight to bed. I was downloading Path of Exile 2. Forsaking your beloved. No. Sure, buddy. Sure, buddy. If there's nothing else, you may leave. All right, Klein made the marionette stand up and raise his right hand. At this moment, the half-slumped red angel evil spirit suddenly asks, I have this nagging feeling that I have attacked you just now. You wouldn't be completely helpless. Am I right? Of course, why do you think I chose flaming jump instead of teleporting? That was to hide the burning of the paper crane in my wallet. That way, Snake of Fate will also Tengaze will silently land on me. If anything happens, he would use the yesterday once more charm to deal with an existence at your level. One can't be too careful. How can one not be careful and keep a trump card hidden? Klein didn't directly answer the red angel evil spirit question. He smiled and expressed his tactic agreement. Pa. He snapped his fingers, causing the scarlet flames to surge out of his pocket and envelop him. As the scarlet stream dispersed, Klein's figure disappeared in front of the red angel evil spirit. Backland at Dr. Aaron Cerie's home in a black pram, the chubby baby rubbed his eyes and muttered silently, Backland really isn't suitable for a children to live in. Yeah, it's getting kind of scary. 39 Buckland Street. Having done in divination, Klein saw a member of Parliament Maj who was about to head to West. Let me raise the volume. That was about to head to Westboro. Didn't you go to Major? It's Major, not Mayor. Major Manor. I'm planning on letting Rihanna and Hazel hide in the Moose Manor. Mach pinched the sockets of his eyes. I wonder when this side effect will disappear. Klein retracted his gaze from this action side. I have to prepare some weapons for the manor, so I came to seek your help. Also, if you have the means to get food, you can help me buy some. In his opinion, the low-level citizens weren't able to stock up on food because they didn't have any money at all. At most, they would stock up a few days' worth of food, therefore his purchase wouldn't affect them for the time being. Once the food situation worsened, he could donate more of it through Miss Audrey before the food ration was implemented. If Klein didn't stockpile, other rich people would do so. Furthermore, they might not donate it. No problem, Mach agreed without any hesitation. Klein didn't ask about the price because he had given housekeeper Tanja a total of £5,000 for such... Dang, that's a lot of fucking money. £5,000 for such matters? Of course, after confirming the Zard tool was in Backland and that Dwayne Don's being equivalent to Germansborough was known to the Red Angel Evil Spirit, he decided not to return to Major Manor. He planned on changing his identity and not to affect the innocent. Oh, shit. So this is... It's time for Merlin, right? It's time for Merlin. He planned on changing his identity as to not affect the innocent. So we're going Merlin for the war. As for the excuse, it had been arranged by the church every night that he would perform certain tasks and that he was unable to return for a long period of time. If there was a charity event that required his help, he gave Miss Audrey the authority to stand in his place. Oh, Merlin is coming in. All right. Wait, what was that, guys? Wait. Let me do my timestamp before I forget. As I sip my coffee, let me catch up with messages. Apologies. Let me sip this. Only around 1 hour left till Wiz starts his Volume 6 ending stream. Is he actually finishing Volume 6 today? I am the Medici to easiest godhood. Yes, Merlin. Dude, it has to be Merlin. Like, there's no shot it isn't Merlin, Cap. Like, I feel like that's what it is. Especially because I've seen it, but I didn't fully see it. Like, I saw like something for a split second with his personas, and he had like a hooded cloak robe, and like that's clearly Merlin. Merlin is not real. We are just gaslighting you. Someone erase easy memories. Well, he doesn't need money now. Yeah. Well, you know what? You're right. He doesn't need money, so there's no point in him being Dwayne Dantes, which is why we need to be now Merlin Hermes for the war. Oh, it's gonna be so good. That's the only thing I'm kind of bummed out. I got spoiled, but I wasn't spoiled. I only saw it for like a brief split second when they announced like the next 10 years of LTM. And I think people are like, oh, Gurman's going to be so badass. I'm like, oh, I know that persona. Dwayne's going to be so badass. Oh, I know that persona. And then I think I saw one more under, and I'm pretty sure it said Merlin Hermes. And he had long hair, and he had like a cloaked robe. I'm like, ah. Oh. I have 150 Merlin artworks. Bro, you better send them all, man, because I already know it. By the way, what's the last chapter of this volume? That's what I want to know. Chapter 1088 is hiding in secret. Like, can we finish it? Not tomorrow. We can't finish it tomorrow on the Blood Moon night. That we can't do it. But we will get to it soon. On the way to Samestown Cathedral from Buckland Street, Klein passed by the Lone Charity Bursey Foundation at 22 Phillip Street. He was surprised to find that the door was still open. As the initiator and the current director, he placed quite a bit of concern over this matter. He temporarily slowed down and walked over. Just as he entered the door, he saw Miss Audrey walking down from the second floor with his personal maidservant, a big golden retriever, and a few staff members beside her. Good afternoon. In this situation, there doesn't seem to be a need to insist on doing anything. Klein went forward and voiced out his doubts. Audrey held the newspaper in her hand and shook her, and as she looked at Dwayne Dantes, some of our beneficiaries were injured in the air raid. I just want to visit them and arrange for a follow-up treatment. The noble lady's eyes were slightly red, as though she had seen all sorts of heart-wrenching scenes in the hospital. May the goddess bless them. Klein came to realization and drew a crimson moon on his chest. He took the opportunity to say that the idea that he had come up with long ago. I plan to donate some more money to buy food, medicine, and medical equipment for the foundation and the man-made disaster. We can do more things. A brilliant idea. Those who are suffering will be grateful to you from the bottom of their hearts. Mr. Dantes. Audrey tapped her chest 4 times in a fluid motion. There were obvious joy and pity in her eyes. I will do my best as well. She didn't want to just donate money, but spearhead certain manners. Oh, damn. Merlin is stuck in Camelot. I understood that FGO reference. Klein nodded. You don't have to praise me. At times like this, just so you guys know, I have MP3 Merlin in FGO. So that's how you know how good my luck is in that game. Oh man, the most like gut-wrenching gotcha game, I've had such good luck. I only did what I should do. Apart from donating funds, I will also donate food. All of you can discuss this directly with my butler. Walter, yes. Miss Audrey, I can write a letter of authorization to you now so that you can use my name to transfer the resources to Mayor Manor. What about you, Mr. Dantes? Audrey asked with a vague guess. This was the most normal response in such a conversation. I received the notice from the church that I need to help them perform certain tasks. As for what they are, I haven't gone to St. Simon Cathedral yet, so I'm not sure either. The only thing I can confirm is that I have to travel around. I won't be able to return to Mayor Manor for a long time. That's sad. Klein gave her the reason he had come up with previously. Miss Audrey, during this period of time at the foundation, I have come to understand your character and ability. Your background and your standing also determine your vision styles. Handing these matters to you is the best solution I can come up with. Klein didn't expect his lies to fool senior spectator. He only wanted to deceive the people around justice. Oh, these people didn't include the dog? And Susie saw right through it. Does Mr. World want to temporarily give up his identity as Dwayne Dantes so that he can perform certain matters in secret? Let me kind of center myself a little bit more. So that he can do certain matters in secret. Feeling enlightened, Audrey pretended to think about a few seconds of silence. She said, with the current situation, I can't refuse such a request. Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He immediately got his personal servant, Uni, to go upstairs and get a piece of paper and a pen. Then, while being witnessing by the staff, he personally drafted a letter of authorization, signing his name, printed his thumbprints, and snapped the seal. After doing all this, Klein cast his gaze at the newspaper in Audrey's hand. Is there anything else? I just came back from outside to the city. I only heard the paperboy shout at the kingdom had declared war on Facek. Audrey pursed her lips and said with a slightly gloom expression, not long after the airship fleet from Facek attacked Backland, their Sonia Sea fleet took advantage of the thick fog to attack the Imperial Navy's base at Pritz Harbor. Holy shit, dude. I can't believe it. They literally attacked from 2 spots at once, simultaneously, at Pritz Harbor, Oak Island, and the shipyards in the surrounding areas. Fortunately, the Church of Lord of Storms received a warning beforehand and sent a telegram in advance. Prince Harbor wasn't... Oh, it wasn't lost. Prince Harbor wasn't lost, but it lost quite a number of ships and factories. It said that many people died and were seriously injured. This is war. Klein said, can I see how the king declared war? Audrey knew that there was something wrong with King George III, so he could tell that Mr. Weld was hiding contempt. She didn't refuse and handed the newspaper it over. It was the Tussock Times. So without needing to spread it open, he directly saw the king's declaration on the headlines. 708 years ago, the Facekians took away the Sonia Island from us, and now we take it back. Oh, shit. A year ago, the Facekians stole half of our interest in East Ballum. Today they bombarded Backland and attacked Pritz Harbor. Many Loyalists were killed and injured, and their bloods and stained the ground. There's no way for us to back down any further. We can only be bullied again and again by the Facekians if we back off. If we continue retreating, we will lose all our interests overseas. Large amounts of products will not be sold. Countless workers will lose their jobs, and even more peasants will go bankrupt. Everything from the past now states that justice is in our hands. Okay, isn't it kind of ironic that Justice handed the piece of newspaper to Dwayne's hand? It was in her hands, and now he has it. I see the similarities in that line. And we have enough strength to seize complete victory. Everyone, complete victory? Are we doing like a complete annihilation of the Facekians or the Facians? Oh, okay. Everything from the past and now states that justice is in our hands, and we have enough strength to seize complete victory. Everyone, I, your Emperor George III, represent the Parliament and the Kingdom's government to declare war on Facek. Unless they raise the white flag and surrender, we will never stop advancing. Advance. We're going to be advancing potions, I see. Advance. We shall take back the Solian Island. Advance. We shall conquer Saint Milam. Victory will definitely belong to us. The gods will be with us. Klein quickly browsed through it and used his clown ability to stop his lips from curling up. Klein quickly browsed through it and used his clown ability to stop his lips from curling up. He then returned to the Tussock Times to Audrey. He took off his hat and bowed. I'll leave the rest to you. Oh, shit. I will. Please rest assured. Audrey held the letter of authorization and newspapers and bowed. Without any further delay, Klein left the Lone Charity Brucey Foundation with his valet Uni and arrived at St. Samuel Cathedral. At that moment, the church no longer had many believers present. Most of them had returned to their homes, preparing for their life, with war having been declared. In the dark and quiet environment, Klein found his seat and sat down. He took off his hat, clasped his hands, and placed them in front of his mouth and nose. He softly recited the honorific name of the Evernight Goddess that said, I received news from Red Angel Evil Spirit that it's very likely that Zaratul has already arrived in Backland. As for the secret ruins of the Blood Emperor, there's a high chance that it's the mausoleum needed for the Black Emperor rituals. After the prayer, Klein waited patiently for a while. He saw the Archbishop, Anthony Stevenson, enter from the side and walk towards him. This saint was clean-shaven. He wore a black robe and had the Crimson Moon's emblem on it. He walked without making a sound, as though he was the knight that slowly descended. That's scary, dude. Anthony did, like, that sounds menacing. Hell yeah. No, dude, that sounds so bad. But we gonna win. We gonna win. I'll tell you that much. Klein is gonna win the war. Klein is gonna win us that war single-handedly. And you know what? I'm down. Anthony didn't say a word after he approached Dwayne Dantas. He only signaled with his eyes before turning towards the library. With that, Klein got up, put on his hat, and followed silently behind. As for his personal servants, Uni, he held his cane and walked to the entrance of the cathedral to wait. Outside the library, Archbishop Anthony turned around and revealed a smile. He said to Dwayne Dantas, war has erupted. There are too many things that needs to be done, so you need to get your Merlin disguise ready. As a devout believer of the goddess, are you willing to provide some help? He's going to do a lot of help. Indeed, from the looks of it, Ma'am Mariana had left Backland. As Klein signed, he drew the Crimson Moon on his chest. It's my honor, praise the lady. After responding, he merely asked, what do you need me to do? I'll inform you when needed. Try not to go home during this period of time, St. Anthony said in an illogical tone. And in an instant, he understood what the other party meant. He had to hide for now. They had no time to deal with Zaratul. At most, they could provide him protection with any certain range. Just as I thought, the goddess is digesting the uniqueness of the death pathway. So she's probably going to descend towards the tail end of the war, or like towards the end of Volume 5 after she's digested the uniqueness. She will not be able to do a divine descent for a long period of time. We're going to speed that up. The upper echelons of the church have to deal with the war, while the negative effects of Grade 0 soul artifacts are more terrifying than the last. Klein nodded gently. Yes, your grace. May the goddess bless you. St. Anthony drew the Crimson Moon. Praise the lady. The only escape is tranquility. Klein responded with a familiar gesture. Then he left St. Samuel Cathedral and headed to another street within his valet. After walking for a while, both of them disappeared at some point in time. East Barrow, in a 2-bedroom rental apartment, wearing an ordinary face, Klein took out the adventurous harmonica and blew on it. Soon, Renette Tinker walked out of the void with four blonde, red-eyed heads and heads. She wasn't surprised by her contractor's appearance. Without giving a letter, he directly said, tell Miss Sharon and Mary that Zaratul has come to Backland and is very likely to be in contact with a royal school of thought. They must be careful. It's best not to get to the Braveheart's bar in the near future. Zaratul, this time Renette Tinker's forehead they spoke at the same time, as though they had spent a great deal of effort to recall who it was. Leader of the Secret Order, a Sequence 1 angel who once lost his mind before becoming normal again. I find it weird. He's the only one we know that, like, quote unquote, lost his mind and then came back to normal. Klein took out a gold coin and handed it to Miss Messenger. He didn't mention that Zaratul was very interested in Germansboro. He believed that as a high-level spirit world creature, Miss Messenger would be able to sense his uniqueness to a certain extent. Otherwise, there was no need for this angel to lower her status to be his messenger. If it was for yesterday once more charmed, she can provide him help in a more decent manner. As for why Zaratul didn't discover the Grey Fox aura in the Foggy Town, but now shows interest in Germansboro, Klein believed that there were 3 reasons. The first, how do you come up with 3? The first reason was that the Grey Fox Beyond a Convergence had completed the powerful seer to come back to Backland, and he predicted something. The second reason was that Germansboro was able to leave the Foggy Town despite receiving the wrong symbol and return to the real world. Oh, so it could have been a fake symbol for all we knew. The third reason was that Germansboro was likely related to the organization that believed in the Fool, and then that got his interest. By the time Zaratul came into contact with the Royal School of Thought and realized that the Mother Tree of Desire was somewhat interested in Germansboro, even if he didn't have a guess, the importance he placed on Germansboro would still rise exponentially. Renette Tinker didn't. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, all right, I believe that one. Like, okay, once we speak, okay, all right. All right. I'm like, dude, how the fuck does he figure all this shit out so quickly? Renee Tanker didn't say anything else. On the other hand, one of the heads tilted forward and bit the gold coin. After watching Miss Messenger leave, he pulled a chair and sat down. He sized up the sky outside the window across the wooden desk. The layout of the rental apartment was the same as the one he used to live in Tinkin City. There was a bedroom inside. On the outside of it was the living room, dining room, and study room. There was also a bunk bed. At this moment in the room, other than him, there were only his marionettes, Konus and Uni. All right, next chapter. Get canceled. Because I said Klein's gonna win the war. Klein gonna win it, bro. I'm gonna double down. He's gonna win that shit, dude. Oh man. He's gonna cancel them. Klein is gonna be the one canceled. No. You see, that's where you're wrong, bro. That's where you guys are wrong. No one's getting canceled. The only one that's getting canceled is the Facek Empire, because Klein is going to cancel all of them and single-handedly win this war. All right. His historical projection of his mind was stuck in the foggy town, and once the door was open, it found the body again. Yeah, I know. I know. Like once that part of him left foggy town, he was able to reunite with his door. He was able to reunite. Zartul was able to reunite with his former body, but I like how Klein is like, well, if he could have given me a fake seal for all I know, he got out and then we stay in. But the fact that he got out, like, okay, now I'm interested. Or now he spoke to the Rose School of Thought, and like now they're like, oh, if they're interested, there should be more. Okay, but I'm starting to get a little bit more. I find it crazy how smart these damn characters are in the series. No, never. I'm just saying we're gonna win the war. Chapter 1000. Well, Backlund is gonna win. Chapter 1089 is called A Difficult Decision. After sitting for a while, Klein raised his hand to rub his temples. He then stood up, took 4 steps counterclockwise, and went above the gray fog. He then conjured Germer's spell by praying to Mr. Fool. He sent his messages to Deniz and to the hermit Katlia. The message from the former was to remind him to be careful of the secret order, although he didn't believe that Zartul would directly seek out Dantes, a person who had crossed the paths with German Sparrow. On the surface, there was nothing wrong with reminding him regarding as a bizarre sorcerer. Klein had a certain level of understanding of the beyonders of the seer pathway. He believed that those who could truly advance to such a state were sufficiently cautious and careful. This didn't exclude certain oddities and exceptions, but it definitely didn't exclude Zartul, who was a sequence one. And in the situation, in the eyes of an angel who was in control of enough secrets, the net was more like bait that was deliberately thrown out to fish for certain targets. Therefore, it was highly likely that Zartul would very carefully and cautiously avoid him. At most, he would send members of the secret order to do some direct or indirect investigations. By the same logic, the message that Klein gave to the hermit Kalia had the same content. However, this wasn't the main point. The main point was for her to immediately contact Queen Mystic Bernadette, saying that German Sparrow wanted to meet her as soon as possible. In addition, he also informed the Admiral Star something he wanted to delay till the next Tarot gathering, that she was to decide if she wanted to purchase a Sequence 5 Druid and Sequence 4 Classical Alchemist. And wait, 5 is Druid. What was 4? Sequence 4 was Classical Alchemist. I don't remember that. Sequence 4 was Classical Alchemist of the Planter Pathway, west of the Berserk Sea, Theros Island. The Nets, who was gathering clues that the Vice Admiral Element held a cup filled with golden beer. With his expression suddenly became extremely complicated. What's wrong? You saw someone and recalled an indescribable encounter. Anderson shook the Lanti-proof distilled liquor in his hand and teased up the abnormal Dantes. Dantes gulped down a mouthful of beer and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand before saying with a somewhat depressed expression, "We have to be careful of the secret members from now on. Ever since he met German Sparrow, such words were a common occurrence for him. His initial reaction had gone from the point of panic to numbness and depression. He suspected that one day he would be listed as being wanted by all organizations of different sizes except Mr. Fool's organization. Oh, it's gonna be cool when that happens. Except his organization. Alright, dude, that's gonna be sick. Anderson sized up the nets. When he heard that, he chuckled. Sometimes I feel that German Sparrow is more like a hunter than me. Huh. So the two of you have a special method of communication. You don't need to summon a messenger. The Nitz was just about to say a few perfunctory words when a person from Intis rushed into the tavern. He held a telegram and shouted, "Facek launched an air raid on Backlund. Lowen has officially declared war." Declared war. Anderson and the Nitz looked at each other. By relying on their pathway characteristics, they actually caught the scent of a large-scale war. Oh, because they're hunters. Because they're part of the hunter pathway, they can sense it. They can smell it. They can smell the prey in the air. They smelt the scent of a large-scale war. Facek attacked Backlund and Prince Harbor, and in return, Lowen had officially declared war. The 3 ironclad warships' fleets weren't at the harbor, so there weren't many losses. They're heading back to the Lowen coast. Katlia's crew happened to pass through Aravi Island, and they had gathered all sorts of information from the telegram. Just as she was thinking about how the pirate crew would react in this situation, she suddenly saw an endless gray fog and heard the word German Sparrow. Be careful of the secret organization members. Be careful of Zartul. As someone from Intis to a certain extent who caught Katlia's attention was something that within the least of importance, and it was precisely because of this that she had no doubts about the world German Sparrow's request to meet the queen as soon as possible. She believed that this was related to the secret order and Zartul. Finally, she said the two potions named softly, Druid, Classical, Alchemist. This sequence 4 in modern name should be the Ancient Alchemist. I was actually planning to read the Alchemist the other day. Should be the Ancient Alchemist. It was previously called Human Alchemist. Katlia subconsciously walked to the window and cast her gaze down on these seas, which had a time difference between it and Backland. Frank Lee and Artisan Sealf were leaning on the side of the ship, sunbathing. The former had a relaxed expression and looked very pleased, but there was a pensive look in her eyes. In his eyes, it was as though this were some problem that couldn't be resolved. The latter's face was pale, and his lips were quivered. Scattered over his clothes and were mushrooms. Druid, Ancient Alchemist, Admiral Stars. Katlia repeated the two terms again, feeling as though something was pressing down on her. After about 10 seconds, Katlia adjusted the heavy glasses on her nose bridge and consoled herself. Mr. Full didn't give any warning. It means it's not a big deal. With this in his mind, specks of bright light floated down, forming a staircase of light between the captain's cabin and windows and deck. Katlia went down the stairs and walked to Frank Lee and Sylph's side. After a few seconds of silence, Katlia asked, Frank, what are your dreams? Only did Frank Lee realize that this captain had arrived. With a push of his palm, he flipped to his feet. Dreams. Dreams. All right. This biologist thought about it seriously and said, I wish to be able to study the soul, the creation of objects and crossbreeding techniques without restrictions, so as to ensure the humans will no longer be hungry anymore. Frank has such good intentions. Even though everything he makes is crazy and freaky, he has such good intentions. Will no longer be hungry anymore. Equally between people will be achieved. What can I do? What can I do? What can you grow? I can also... What you can grow, I can also grow. Upon hearing this, Artisan Seal slowly got up and suddenly crashed to the side, opening his mouth and vomiting. Frank Lee continued without being affected. In order to have such a world, one has to have sufficient food and resources, so I hope to create all kinds of creatures that can deal with different environments and conditions. How everyone has their own tendencies. I prefer fish, beef, and spores. Oh, hell no. I almost choked on my saliva, but I caught my second wind. Katlia finished listening to Frank's description with a deadpan expression. However, during this process, she repeatedly nudged the thick glasses on her nose. Thrice, after a moment of silence, Katlia asked, there are only one step left for you to research now. That's right, I'm just short of a druid's ability for catalyzing it. If I can't get the formula, I'm thinking of getting Cleve to help me make the druid beyond her characteristic. I have into a mystical item. Frank answered frankly, no, I won't help you, you devil. Silently vomiting, Artisan Seal raised his head and shouted anxiously. Katlia watched the scene quietly. With a flip of her head, she produced a gold coin. Ding. The gold coin flipped up, landing in Katlia's palms, heading facing up. I have the druid potion formula. It's from German Sparrow, 5,000 pounds. Katlia explained in detail, as though she was deliberately telling Artisan Seal information, informing him who the true murderer was. A look of pure joy immediately appeared in Frank Lee's eyes. He really is a swell guy. Captain, I've only saved up 3,000 pounds. Can you lend me 2,000 pounds? Most of his previous savings had been used to buy the druid beyond characteristics, and he even sold some of the items. Katlia fell silent once again. A few seconds later, she nodded with Frank Lee's expectant eyes were on her. Okay. Northborough, Backland Menchie University affiliated hospital. Eroda lay on the bed with a blank expression, looking at the vibrancy of a young girl should have. She had woken up from her coma some time ago. Her coma? Eudora lay on the bed with a blank expression, liking the vibrancy a young girl should have. She woke up from her coma some time ago, but she hadn't opened her eyes. Thus, she heard the doctor tell her parents that the injury she received to her right leg from the air raid likely couldn't be saved. They had to be prepared for an amputation procedure. After that, she lay down in a daze, feeling as though there were so many people coming and going, one after another. Among them, the person who later originally only visited the student next door. The Low and Charity Bursting Foundation director, Audrey, indicated that she was willing to pay for the subsequent treatments after hearing about her. The school's chancellor, Mr. Portland Moment, had promised to create the most advanced, most convenient robotic limb for her to walk like a normal person. However, none of this dispelled the gloominess, heaviness, sorrow, and despair in Eudora's heart. She wasn't even 18, and she had yet to enjoy the beauty of life, but now she was about to lose a leg and lose her dreams. That's so sad, dude. Her voice wasn't considered wealthy. Her family wasn't considered wealthy. Her father was the owner of a grocery store that believed in the Lord of the Storms. He wasn't violent, barbaric, and unwilling to reason with a woman. Her mother was timid and weak, and she relied on her father to survive. And not for the fact that her family didn't have a second child at home, Eudora wouldn't have been able to study at all. But even so, her father had chosen to place a place like Backland Technical School where results could be quickly seen. Previously, she had commented on how lucky she was that Backland Technical School had been turned into the Backland University of Technology. Furthermore, she had passed the examinations and became a university student. This made her smile every day as she passed the joy to the people around her while having the time to indulge in her hobby for poetry. Eudora's dream was to remain in university and be a university teacher, finding a husband who loved her as she loved him. At the same time, she could constantly keep true to her pursuit of poetry, hoping that she would one day be published in magazines and newspapers. Not all of this had been destroyed by a bomb that fell from the sky. It had been mercilessly and cruelly destroyed. After an unknown period of time, Eudora silently pulled up the blanket and covered her face. She let out a soft whimper that sounded like a baby beast. The crying didn't stop for a while. After a while, Eudora suddenly lifted the blanket and saw a black figure standing by her side. Half of the black figure's face was covered by mushrooms. Ugh. The fuck is going on now? While the other half was covered in weeds, and the black figure's hand was a wooden cane. The fuck? Eudora couldn't help but scream. She felt like her heart was about to burst out of her chest. The black figure touched her with the tip of the cane. Eudora felt her heart return to normal while her right leg felt cold as though she could feel her leg again. Is it growing? When she looked at the bedside again, the black figure wasn't there anymore. In her daze, Eudora moved her right leg and realized that it wasn't painful at all. It was as if she had never been hurt before. She pulled up the blanket again and covered her face. What the wait! Half of the black figure's face was covered by mushrooms, while the other half was covered in weeds. Glued with milk? A few seconds later, there was some disbelief under the blanket. It was filled with fear, but it was also mixed with crying tears that were tears of joy. Aw! Wait! That wasn't Frank, was it? What the fuck? No! There's no shot that was Frank. That has to be something else. How truly bizarre. No, it definitely wasn't Frank. Very bizarre. No, you saying how truly bizarre does not imply that was Klein. Oh shit, maybe. No. Klein wouldn't wear that creepy ass disguise, would he? I don't see him doing that. But if he's trying to be bizarro and he's in Backland, what? Well, he did say he needs a new disguise, right? I'm sorry, is Merlin gonna be some creepy ass looking dude that can be whatever he wants? It was your mom? That was a good your mom joke. I'll give you that one. Yeah, I read that so seriously. It was your mom. Dog, I read the book. I know you read the book, Hope. Hold up, I'm in denial. Hold up. I know you guys read it. I don't mean to doubt you guys when I say that, by the way. My bad. Chapter 1090. Oh, shit. Timestamp. 36 minutes. 33. It was Klein digesting his potion and doing good deed. Oh, because for a second when I read mushrooms, I'm like, how the fuck did Frank end up there? But then I'm reading, I'm like, no, that's not Frank. X'd out. Okay. Klein did say he's going to digest his potion by taking on all these crazy ass bizarre appearances during the war. And he's like if he's helping people out during the war looking bizarre, that can help him digest his potion. And then if he's acting bizarre when he takes out the FASEC enemies, that can also help him digest his potion. He got that thing. Oh, man, he got that freaky thing. I'll tell you that much. All right, chapter 1090. It's called Haunted Tales. Nighttime Prince Harbor in the cemetery in the suburbs. The people who died in the airship bombarding had been brought here. The priests and bishops of the three churches were busy comforting the souls of the dead to prevent any anomalies from happening. In the short day, many wives lost their husbands, many children lost their mothers, and many families were down to a single person. Some of them loitered in the cemetery, some silent, others sobbing. Some even wept until they fainted. Wearing an ordinary-looking face, Klein stood among them and watched everything without saying a word. It was as he had recalled the funeral he had attended before. While it was dark, he had just used Life's cane to treat... Okay, so he used Life's cane. He had just used Life's cane to treat the injured in Backland and Prince Harbor various hospitals. Oh, he went... So it wasn't just her. He helped a lot of people. Klein is franking out. Absolute cinema. Oh, that's so beautiful, man. He used LifeSkin to treat the injured in Backland and Prince Harbor various hospitals, victims of the air raid. He had also left behind a strange and horrifying urban myth to help him further digest the bizarre potion. Okay, the appearance. And he knew that once such haunted tales spread like wildfire, Zaratul, who was in Backland, would immediately be able to understand what was going on. He would send his marionettes to monitor the corresponding areas. Hence, before the news spread, he replied on teleporting to travel to all the hospitals in Backland and Prince Harbor, leaving behind all sorts of horror stories to treat patients with severe illnesses. When this matter spread, he believed that he would receive a great deal of feedback, allowing him to take a firm and huge step in the direction of completely digesting his potion. Oh my god, he is going to digest so much, dude. He is going to digest Bizarre Sorcerer and Scholar of Yore this volume. That's what I'm locking in. He's going to digest so quickly during the war. However, Klein didn't stop there. The existence of a conspiracy created by the Red Angel evil spirit and the fact that Zaratul was in Backlad was like a guillotine hanging above his head, urging him to continue searching for opportunities. Hence, he came here to witness the grief of the ordinary citizens. After a moment of silence, Klein retracted his gaze and turned to leave the cemetery. After arriving at the empty hospital, his left glove quickly turned dark blue and slippery fish scales grew out. With a whoosh, the wind swept over and Klein flew up in the air towards the harbor. In the sea beyond the land, the Sonia Sea fleet from the Phasic Empire was quietly waiting. It was as if they were prepared to launch another bombardment after daybreak, destroying the rest of the shipyards. Soon, Klein arrived at the harbor ruins and looked at the faint flames in the dark night. At the same time, his two marionettes had used flaming jump to rush over from the ground, splitting up into different hidden locations. From what he had heard and seen, Klein didn't have any doubts of feeling towards what he was about to do. However, he was still confused. Taking revenge on the invaders was a legitimate matter, but if he were to seriously injure the Phasic fleet, the happiest person would be the Lone King, George III, the true mastermind. Oh, what? So you can't even take out the enemies. What? George III, the true mastermind behind all this, one of the culprits who had pushed the war. So we take him out after we take out Phasic. There are too many principles in this world, but only those who have truly experienced it will realize that there are times when doing nothing is the correct path. No. He got to be a badass. He got to be at the front of the line. It will fill one's heart with conflict. With a sigh, Klein turned his attention to the information he had received from the Hangman. The commander of the Sonia fleet from the Phasic Empire was Admiral Igor Einhorn. He was a demigod from the royal family, currently a Sequence 4 Iron Blood Knight of the Red Priest Pathway. Red Priest Pathway. All right. He sounds important. Through this information, together with the contents of the Red Priest card, more key points surface in his mind. Iron-blooded knights can make a woman turn into a man and also make them have courage that is comparable to steel. Not only can they control multiple types of flames, but they're also mastering this domain. They can even turn their own flames into steel. On the Nepos, the flagship of the Phasic Empire Sonia fleet, a burly man with a thick beard more than 2 meters tall, Igor Einhorn, was sitting behind a desk. As he drank Sonia blood, pondered over what to do next. After daybreak, Lowen Airship's crew will definitely attack. Their Pritz ironclad warship and the corresponding fleet will return soon. If they continue staying there, I'll be left in a passive situation. Although I'm an iron-blooded knight, allowing the entire fleet's power to gather onto me while distributing the damage of the commanding officer of the ironclad warship is most likely a demigod of the Arbiter Pathway, or that they have a corresponding grade 1 soul artifact, so it wouldn't be easy to deal with them. If I'm not careful, they might be able to make use of the advantage of their fleet's speed and armaments. Retreating is the best option. After all, we'll continue attacking the coastal ports when the Lowen Navy is damaged. This war is indeed a good opportunity to digest the potion. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to become a war bishop before. Otherwise, I might have had a chance to advance to the level of an angel after the war. Only a war bishop can truly unleash the strength of an army. It's not like how I am right now, only able to focus power on myself. In the midst of Igor Einhorn's thoughts, he planned on using the hidden connection between the iron-blooded knight and the soldiers that were under his command to inform his adjutant. I cannot war. Damn, you guys are excited. Adjutant. I think I read that right. Adjutant to pay him a visit so that he could give orders of performing a retreat overnight. Suddenly, he looked up at the door. Thump. There was a knock on the door, and it instantly reverberated in the quiet room. An advance warning before an attack. This thoughtfully flashed across Igor's mind, and he became extremely tense. In the battle between demigods, setting up an environment, sudden attacks, and catching enemies by surprise was a good way to seize the initiative. It was a combination that could effectively defeat or even kill an enemy of the same level. On the contrary, it was very difficult to accomplish it successfully. How so? It was very difficult to accomplish it successfully. Therefore, given an advance notice before the attack was either a warning without any follow-ups, or it meant that the attacker's level and strength far exceeded the target. Oh. As a senior iron-blooded knight, Igor instinctively considered the worst situation. He merely woke up the sailor and soldiers of the Nepos to establish a connection with him. At that moment, the noise sounded again. Boom. This time, the knocking sound of the door was comparable to the loud boom of the salvo. It made Igor feel like a bomb had exploded in his ears. Under his high-strung nerves, he carefully listened to the commotion. This wasn't much different from the roar of the cataclysmic interior. In an instant, Igor's ears buzzed as he felt dizzy. He quickly spread out the damage and left every member of the Nepos hear a faint buzz. Then Igor grabbed the fountain pen on the table and threw it at the table. This dark red fountain pen left after images along the way. What the fuck? This dark red pen left after images along the way like a cannonball that had been fired. To an iron-blooded knight, no matter how ordinary it was, it could have become a terrifying murderous weapon through his augmentation. Oh shit, dude. Boom. The door was hit by the fountain pen, cracked open. Literally just a pen. The door that was hit by the fountain pen cracked open, revealing the person in the corridor who had knocked on the door. It was a man in a black trench coat. Klein? It was a man in a black trench coat. His body was thin as paper and his face had no facial features. Adjutant. A military officer who acts as an administrative assistant to a senior officer. Thank you, guys. Okay. Adjutant. Got it. At this moment, the fountain pen had already exploded. The tiny fragments were like storms brought about by the sweeping of a machine gun. What the fuck? The pen exploded. It embroiled the person who knocked on the door, tearing him into pieces of flesh and blood. Igor didn't relax. Instead, he stood up and looked out warily. He clearly knew that the person who had knocked on the door hadn't appeared. At this moment, the adjutant, whose bunk was diagonally across from him, opened the door and ran out. When he saw the flesh and blood on the ground, he said in surprise, "Admiral, what happened? There's an intruder." Before Igor could finish the sentence, he had suddenly froze on the adjutant. The adjutant retracted his gaze from the flesh and blood on the ground and slowly raised his head. It's Sans. Was that an Undertale reference? I actually haven't played Undertale, so I don't know that reference. The adjutant retracted his gaze from the flesh and blood on the ground and slowly raised his head. There were no eyebrows, eyes, noses, or mouth on his face. It was the same as the person who had knocked just now. A featureless surface. Igor's heart palpitated and his entire body ignited, transforming into flames that shot out in all directions. As the scarlet flames dispersed, I should probably change the music. I should probably play this music. I should keep this music playing. Nah? Not played Undertale? I am gonna pick it up. I am gonna download it. What do you mean? This is our 4th chapter. We're finishing our 4th chapter, Milosh. Not even 4th chapter. No, we're literally finishing our chapter right now. I lost my place. Fuck. I only played like the first hour. Igor's heart palpitated and his body was ignited, transformed into flames that shot out in all directions. After the scarlet flame dispersed, they swept forward and surrounded the adjutant. The fire quickly spread, revealing the already charred adjutant. When the cold wind blew past, the adjutant collapsed into a pile of ashes. The flames didn't stop as they flew out of the room one after another, forming a tall and burly Igor in midair. At this moment, he saw the seagulls flying around him. All of them had a human head without any facial features. What the fuck? Their heads bare? Igor let out a secret grunt as a blazing flame surrounding him before he sent towards the strange seagulls at high speed. At that moment, he heard the sounds of the metal rubbing against each other and immediately looked over with the help of his soldiers. When he saw this, his body suddenly turned cold. He couldn't help but feel a sense of horror. Fucking Klein is going very bizarro here. On one of the ships on the other self-powered battleship of the Sonia Sea Fleet, the cannons seemed to come alive and had a life of their own. They turned around and aimed into the air. Oh shit, not even 12 chapters? We will get 12 chapters in an hour one day. They turned around and aimed into the air. As for the cannonballs, they actually leaped into the cannons. Boom, boom, boom. The moment these shells were fired, they were struck by fireballs that followed differently trajectories, exploding prematurely mid-flight. Seizing this opportunity, Igor quickly recited the honorific name of the highest command of the Sonia Sea Theater. A weather warlock from the royal family. A weather warlock from the royal family. Okay. The ruler of the fog of the battlefield, the symbol of weather flux, the totem of storm and lightning, the great Awatoma Einhorn. This was also the reason why it was difficult to kill a demigod of the same level when an advanced warning was given. They could always find an opportunity to seek help. Of course, the main goal of the attacker clan was to create a bizarre scene to scare a demigod and help him digest his potion. He had no intention of completing the hunt. Yet. Oh, man. He has no... Yet, dude. Of course, the main goal of the attacker clan was to create a bizarre scene to scare demigod and help him digest his potion. He had no intention of completing the hunt. Oh, man. Upon seeing this, he hid beneath the water. Having achieved his goal, he mainly got Konus and Uni to swap locations over to him and teleport away with them. As for Igor, he didn't let his guard down. He remained extremely tense and guarded against any possible attacks. Look at that. He's fucking scared, dude. Only when an angel responded, he truly heaved a sigh of relief. Following that, Einhorn didn't let the fleet stay any longer. He abandoned the sail-powered battleships that had turned into the urban myth, and he left these waters. After a while, a seagull flew over and landed on the sail-powered battleship that had regained its silence. The seagull had obvious dark-eyed circles. It looked around and said in the language of Hermes, "I can smell the aura of it." Is that Amon? Or is that the... What was his name? Awatoma? Or did the Awatoma respond? It looked around and said in the language of humans, "I can smell the aura of a seared demigod." The fuck? All right, bro. Next chapter, 1091. Our 5th chapter today is called Asking Himself. I'm doing my timestamp so I don't forget. Look at that. This is our 5th chapter today, dude. 5th chapter, only 1 hour in? Shit. All right, timestamp. Let me do my timestamp. 49 minutes. On 2 seconds. It's definitely not a seagull. It's a talking seagull. You're probably right. It's probably just a seagull, and it's probably nothing more important. Chapter 1091 is called Asking Himself. Oh, as I ask myself, I almost forget to update this part. Chapter 1091 is called Asking Himself. Backland Eastboro, in a cramped rental apartment, wearing a rather thin jacket, Klein stood behind. And you know what's crazy? Amon isn't doing shit. He's just watching. It's like he can probably fight Klein whenever he wants, but like he probably doesn't want to fight him. If he's just watching, not doing anything, he probably has another goal in mind. His goal probably isn't to fight him. If that's what he's like, if he was just observing, there's probably more than just like, oh, fight him, take his characteristic. There's probably more behind it. Chapter 1091 is called Asking Himself. Backland Eastboro, in a cramped rental apartment, wearing a rather thick jacket, Klein stood behind the desk and looked at the glass window in front of him. He carefully sensed the speed at which the bizarre sorcerer potion was being digested. Oh, it's almost ready? It's really fast. It's even more than the first 3 months of my digestion combined. However, there's nothing I can do about it. Before I received the life's cane, I couldn't provide sufficient treatment. I have to make sure that the heart of the target can withstand the fright they experience. So as a result, I wasn't able to go to the hospital to create an urban myth. Similarly, if it wasn't for the fact that a war broke out, it would be rather difficult to find other demigods. Those whereabouts that I can confirm are mostly on their own home ground. To secretly invade and create a bizarre sense of horror will involve turning innocents into marionettes. Even if there's no other choice, I wouldn't have considered it. Klein shifted his attention away from his... look, he still keeps to his morals. Away from himself and sighed silently. He then repeated a word in his mind. War. At this moment... Fucking shit. Klein's saying war. ... At this moment, the street lamps in the distance were lit up. Eastboro was pitch black with the occasional policeman patrolling the streets with lanterns. In the past, these policemen wouldn't have been enthusiastic. Now that the war had broken out, they had to carry out the corresponding curfew orders to ensure that there was order and scrutiny. War. Klein repeated the word softly again, and in a daze, he saw part of the ending. The Loin Kingdom George III had finally broken through the shackles. He no longer worried that any of the 7 deities will strongly object his apotheoses. He can officially push the various rituals needed for the Black Emperor. What follows? What follows next? Sua is like Hawk 2. That was a funny joke. Will depend on himself, or should I say himself. As he can withstand the impact of the potion, and as long as he can maintain his rationality, he would be able to ascend to the divine throne and advance to Sequence Zero. The Einhorn family of the Faceg uses war that can embroil the entire world to allow its key members to significantly digest their potions, and without much difficulty, they can prepare the corresponding ritual and allow their family's overall strength to be enhanced. As for Amon's brother, he can consume the potion during the tumultuous times and experience a transformation to become a visionary, allowing this world to have another true god. Another true god. Holy shit, dude. That's wild, man. Another interview. We have an interview? I just saw some of the comments on your videos. They said Cuttlefish voiced the Quill. We're going to check that out, username. With Cuttlefish talking about his dubbing. I'm about a Haksua over here. What? Oh, we're... TMI. I'll pause. What? I'll check out. Only watch if you've watched episode. Okay, so after we watch the season finale, we'll watch that. We'll watch that after. Okay. Let me find my place. The Einhorn family of the Facig used the war that can embroil the entire world to allow its key members to significantly digest their potions. Klein has to take advantage. And without much difficulty, they can prepare the corresponding rituals and allow their family's overall strength to be enhanced. As for Amon's brother, he can consume the potion during these tumultuous times and experience a transformation to become a visionary, allowing this world to have another true god. As Klein's thoughts drifted, a question suddenly popped up in his mind. Can I accept an outcome? All right, after episode 13, we'll watch it. Funny enough, the Quill is also Nother. It kind of is, man, which is pretty funny. Can I accept such an outcome? Can I accept such an outcome? Klein opened his mouth and slowly closed it. Everything he saw seemed to pass through the limitations of time and space before returning to another place. It was the extremely thick, slightly pungent, and moist smog, which was yellow and slightly iron-black in color, which had permeated through the entire backland. It was a Trums who had been suffering from the ailments and hunger pain, and cold before pushed to the brink of death. He was also struggling to survive. For the sake of food, he pushed himself with all his might, not daring to slack off at all. Finally, he saw the light of life. He bought his long-awaited hand, but in the hazy smog, he fell to the ground and never got up again. She was a hard-working widow, and in order to survive and provide for her 2 children, she had abandoned all her dignity and made herself shrew, spewed vulgarities with pain-ridden joints that suffered repeatedly from the evasion of humanity. On a daily basis, she supported a roof that could block out the elements. However, the roof had collapsed in the great smog. The child she wanted to protect had died in her arms. Oh, man, what the fuck? It was a young girl who yearned to study and fantasized about a bright future. She doted on her mother and her younger sister. That's just so sad when she's remembering all this. Working hard in a room that was filled with moisture, always caring about the tiny bits of hope. However, after the great smog, she was no longer able to see the future she longed for. It was a girl who desperately took in the knowledge under the care of her mother and elder sister. She had gone through much suffering, and she had walked out of her predicament one step at a time, hoping to... I swear, she better not die, man. She better not die this volume. Hoping to improve herself, she hoped that the mother and sister wouldn't tire themselves out anymore, and that she would have a chance to let her family of 3 live out the ideal lives. However, all this ultimately shattered. In the terrifying small, this girl was left alone. No matter how much pain or joy she felt, she was no longer able to share it with her mother and sister. The fantasy of her family life appeared, nor would it ever appear again. They were living beings that fell to the ground like straw, one family after another, one human after another. They would never be able to erase the pain in their bones. It was a student who clearly had a bright future. Only half of his body was left. His intestines splattered all over the ground. Oh my god. There were children who returned home from school only to suddenly realize they had lost their parents and had become orphans. It was a pain of writhing on the ground while crawling with great difficulty. He was an ordinary person who wanted to approach the future, but was powerless to swallow his last breath. It was the people in the cemetery who were so silent that it made one's heart ache, or those who cried until they fainted several times. It was a land stained with blood. It was the air filled with gunpowder. They were cold and ruthless shells. As for the mastermind behind all of this, the greatest murderer, he would step up to divine throne over the piles of corpses only to receive the cheers and escape his moral coins. Can you accept such a development? Oh, hell no, we can't accept that. Can you accept such an development? Can you accept such an outcome? After a moment of silence, Klein suddenly spoke with a deep voice. No, I can't. The voice immediately echoed in the room. It was layered and interlinked. No, I don't accept it. Oh, shit. There were still lingering echoes in his ears. At the corners of his mouth curled up, Klein gave a self-deprecating laugh. The 7 deities already tactfully accepted it. What meaning is there even if you don't accept it? Once again, he fell silent. After a long while, he finally exhaled and said to himself with a calm expression, even if it's meaningless, some things still ought to be done. Oh, shit. In this world, how can there be many things that were guaranteed to succeed, that they were of value and be of use? The corners of Klein's mouth curled up. He looked away and turned around and entered the room inside of the rental flat. Although he had already made up his mind, he had no intention of doing it rashly. With his current level and status, no matter how hard he tried, it would be difficult for him to affect George III matters. Other than throwing away his life, there wouldn't be any other outcome yet. We can't take him out yet. Furthermore, if this resulted in chaos in the Lone Kingdom during a critical period of war, resulting in the invasion of the Phasic army and the deaths and injuries of the innocent would only be 10 times or even 100 times worse than the Great Smog of Backland. What? Dude, Klein is, yeah, he is fucking locked in. He's like, dude, even if the deities accept it, like, he's like, I don't. Hell no. Oh, this is so good. All I can do now is make preparations. On the other hand, I have to prove myself. On the other hand, I have to make more preparations and patiently wait for an opportunity. Klein muttered silently to himself. He found a black sticky blob and split it into two before smearing one half uniformly on a mirror. This was a So now he has a reason to recruit her. Now he has a reason to recruit Trissy. He's like, I need an evil person just like you in the crew, because we're going to war. This was a way to contact Demoness Trissy. However, when all the black objects disappeared, there was still no abnormality in the mirror. There's no response. After being frightened by an angel-like Miss Messenger, Trissy had already decided not to have any contact with Grimmer's Bro. She's out. Klein sighed and walked to the bed to sit down. His thoughts quickly shifted to the reason why the Demoness sect had helped King George III. One of them is that the Demoness need a catastrophe to digest a potion and hold a ritual. The other is that George III had made a promise to them. He promised them that they could openly spread their religion. No, this should be something that the seven deities wouldn't allow, even if the Black Emperor is a Sequence Zero and the Primordial Demoness, and that the seven deities wouldn't allow. Wait, even if the Black Emperor is a Sequence Zero and with the Primordial Demoness and the True Creator, they wouldn't be able to fight against the seven deities alliance. Yeah, what the fuck? It's like a 2-3v7, dude. Of course, after this war, the existence of an alliance between seven deities is itself a question. Okay, they wouldn't. Okay. In that case, the seven deities that know George III is working with the Demoness sect shouldn't let him become the Black Emperor. The promise is for something else. It's for Klein. They just don't know it yet. The Demoness pathway has a true god, and there are very few valuable items left outside. Similar pathways, isn't that the Red Priest pathway? George III, no, Amon's brother, doesn't only know of the secret mausoleum needed by the Black Emperor from the Blood Emperor, Elisa Tudor, but he also obtained an angel level beyond her characteristics of Grade 0 sealed artifact of the Red Priest pathway. With the condition that having a Sequence 0 means no Sequence 1, this is probably the greatest hope for the upper echelons of the Demoness sect to advance further. Yes, the Primordial Demoness should be very interested. This can explain why the Demoness sect is providing help. The Red Angel Evil Spirit is searching for Saints of White, Katarina, and it doesn't seem to be as simple as he didn't say anything else besides using common knowledge and reactions to guide me into thinking that way. Let's go to war. Klein trained his thought and gradually became clear. He decided to use Saintess of the White Katarina as a big breakthrough point, making her his next target. However, before that, he had to listen to what Queen Mystic had predicted. He wanted to know what she was planning to do in Backland for her month. From her mouth. Only by understanding the situation could he find and seize the opportunity. The next morning, the hermit Catalina conveyed the word of Queen Mystic Bernadette. Today between 12 and 12:30 p.m. and Stranger Restaurant, Golden Theater. It was the name of a private room. When Klein arrived at 11:55 in the morning, he used an illusion to deceive the waiter, and he walked all the way to the room and waited patiently. After a while, he took out his golden pocket watch and opened it. With that, he put away his pocket watch and counted down 10 silently. Then he raised his hand and knocked on the door of the Golden Theater. At that moment, his marionette Conus was sitting on a bench across the restaurant and reading the newspapers leisurely. Uni was sitting in a group of students giving off a flyer that promoted the evilness of Phasic. Of course, the three of them would switch positions from time to time, making it impossible for anyone to make an accurate judgment. Come in, Bernadette's voice came from the room. Very impressive. I didn't notice anyone inside, nor did I notice anyone entering. Well, it's also because I didn't activate my spirit body threads vision. Klein mumbled to himself before turning the doorknob and pushing the door open. The first thing he saw was large swaths of gold before noticing the chestnut-haired woman sitting at the head of the table. All right, next chapter. All right, now I want to know what they're going to talk about. Oh, I see your message. I see your message. Wait, hold up. I didn't read your message. It was you, right, Milosh? Read my message. I got you. Well, let me just do my time step and sip my coffee before it gets too cold. 1 hour. 1 sec. I got you. 2 hours. 56 seconds. I feel dizzy. What do I feel dizzy? I feel dizzy and like more out of breath than usual when I'm reading right now. Give me a sec. That's weird. Remember how this sequence 0 ritual for Black Emperor needs loss? No, yeah. They need loss. Like, everybody needs to be... Well, I forgot that part. It goes against logic. In this chapter 26, Benson said the monetary system went against all logic. And chapter 26, Benson said the monetary system went against all logic? Really? Oh, that's so cool. What the fuck? So even from the very beginning, it's like Cuttlefish knew, okay, if a Black Emperor has to hit sequence 0, you need to instill these laws. So like, what the fuck? So from chapter 26, he was already putting that? That's so cool. So from chapter 26, he was already instilling all these illogical laws. Back, like, volume 26 of this chapter? That's crazy. Easy dying, do some push-ups. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm feeling going back to... We're going to go back to chapter 26 right now. Yeah, I feel very lightheaded right now, and I don't know if it's because I'm getting excited. We have clues so early on. That's wild. I think it's because I'm getting excited for this arc. I'm starting to get a little bit lightheaded. You've seen me before. You know how I start gasping? I lose my breath. I get so lightheaded when it gets really exciting. I think it's like slowly creeping in, and I'm like I'm starting to learn the early signs. I mean, chapter 26, my bad. But that being said, chapter 1092 is called Ridiculous People. Bernadette was wearing an into-styled blouse and was sitting there quietly. Her chestnut-colored hair was naturally draped over her shoulders, and her straight brows were spread out perfectly. She actually had the aura of a female professional from the earth and on the... Am I recording? Yes. And her straight brows were spread out perfectly. She actually had the aura of a female professional from Earth, one that had been in a high position for a long period of time. The Emperor's sense of aesthetics still had quite the influence over Queen Mystic, however, it's limited by the environment around her, and it cannot be fully manifested. Klein took off his hat and pressed it to his chest. He bowed lightly before casually pulling out a chair and sitting down. With a sweep of her blue eyes that resembled the deep blue sea, Bernadette's gentle and calm voice rang out. Why did you contact me so urgently this time? Aren't you a clairvoyant? Didn't you receive a hint of a revelation? Klein subconsciously replied in his mind before he felt that he was being too arrogant. This should be the after effects of interacting with the Red Angel Evil Spirit for too long. With his level, it would naturally affect the people around him. If he was willing, this effect would definitely turn into a form of corruption. Klein quickly did a self-analysis and made a judgment. He pondered for a moment before asking, have you attained what you wanted to achieve in Backland? Bernadette slowly shook her head. No, you can even say that I failed. Oh, Klein used a tone to express his surprise and puzzlement. I failed. I'm sorry. Oh, I was like, wait, no, wouldn't she be a transmigrator if she failed? No, that doesn't make sense. No, never mind. Bernadette glanced, like, we already know who the third one potentially is. Bernadette glanced at him and said unhurriedly, there's a strange name for a sequence 2 potion in the mystery prior pathway. It's called the Sage. The Sage. To advance to this level, one has to prevent a disaster that involves a high level of power. Sage, so that's where the Sage of the Hidden Sage... Ah... That's where Sage of the Hidden Sage comes from. Klein was momentarily enlightened. Just as he was about to ask, he heard Queen Mystic continue. I anticipated such an opportunity in Backland, so I came here a few years in advance to make preparations. I've recently been waiting for it for a long time. Unfortunately, I predicted that it would happen in the second half of this year. Last year, I wasn't in Backland at the end of the year, so I wasn't able to stop the Great Smog. And in this war, I tried my best to do something, and I achieved something. But to my surprise, Facek directly attacked Backland with an air raid, and the disaster ultimately erupted. That's why you said you failed. Klein nodded. Ah, so she was trying to stop it. So she can hit Sage. So she can hit sequence 2. That's fucking cool, dude. Yeah, that's a sick-ass fucking reveal, dude. I'm the third transmigrated chest. That's wild. So her whole point to go to Backland was to, like, subtly prepare in the shadows and, like, stop the war from happening. But she failed. And now she can't hit sequence 2. So now she has to hit sequence 2 another way? That's why you said you failed. Klein nodded indiscriminately instead of a side. I know how we advance. If you join Hermes, a.k.a. Klein, in the war and stop the war after, you can still be a sage. You'll just be like a late bloomer, but you'll still be a sage. That's why you said you failed. Klein nodded indiscriminately instead of a sigh. I didn't expect the ones to start the war to be Facesakians either. As he spoke, he sighed inwardly. The difficulty of Queen Mystic advancement ritual was controversial. It all depended on one's luck. would have to know that before he became a demigod. One had to know that before he became a demigod, Klein had already stopped the tree crater from descending twice. He had saved Tingen and Backland, which were feats that could definitely satisfy the ritual requirements of becoming a sage. But under normal circumstances, there weren't as many disasters like these, and there weren't things that could easily be stopped. Just like the present situation, Amon's brother had planned for 1 to 2,000 years, even if something were that's wild, man. 1 to 2,000 years. Even if something went awry with King George III, war would erupt as he had expected. This is because the root cause of the uniqueness of the death pathway hadn't been resolved. This made him suspect that Mr. Zig's life in the North Continent had always been under the arrangements of Amon's brother. If not, how did he, who had lost his memories, escape from the sites of the various major churches without shifting mask? More importantly, it was unknown why Zik had used his real name in this life, and this wasn't something that was suspected by anyone, nor did it incur any investigations. Huh. That's true. If he's been using the same name and face, why the fuck has no one even thought about it? And this wasn't something that was suspected by anyone, nor did it incur any investigations. And is this our part of your plan, Amon's brother? Upon thinking of this, Klein felt a certain trauma, a result of post-traumatic stress disorder. His body nearly trembled. He suddenly took a deep breath and looked at Queen Mystic and added, "This war involves the son of the creator, king of angels, and the true deities. It's not something you can stop." With Bernadette's knowledge and experience, she still had some changes in her facial expression when she heard of the sentence. She repeated a few key words in a low voice: "The son of the creator, kings of angels, deities." She wasn't too surprised by this, and if she had already made a prediction. However, even if she was a clairvoyant, she wasn't able to pry into the script composed by Amon's brother. After repeating it again, Bernadette fell silent for 2 to 3 seconds before sighing to herself. So that's the reason. Klein adjusted his posture and thought, "Actually, to you, this war is also an opportunity. Next, there will be many disasters, including the clashing of powers at the angel level. I believe that you should be at least in control of a grade 0 sealed artifact. You can stop to certain matters from happening at the critical moment. Of course, you have to choose a good time and method." Bernadette nodded gently and agreed with what he said. She's actually tactfully acknowledged that she possessed at least one grade 0 sealed artifact. All right, it's going to help us out a lot. Of course, as the daughter of the protagonist of the previous era and as the child of the Emperor result dotted on the most, it would be unbelievable if her father didn't leave her 1 or 2 grade 0 sealed artifacts. What was more important was that Bernadette was already preparing for the ritual needed to advance the stage. This meant that she definitely had the corresponding sequence 2 beyond her characteristic in her hand. To a certain extent, it was equivalent to a grade 0 sealed artifact. Ah. After tactfully agreeing, Queen Mystic Bernadette gently but emotionally voice changes slightly. "However, I still don't like war, even though it will give me a chance. I once hated him and couldn't understand him. That's why I didn't call him father for many years. It's because he did too many things against the trends of times and hurt the innocent. I couldn't accept my heroic father turning into a crazy tyrant. And now through the answers..." Wow. I couldn't accept my heroic father turning into a crazy tyrant. "And now, through the answers from the entity behind you and my own investigations, I somewhat understand his situation. I understand that he was suffering from despair, pain, and loneliness. I understand him as a drowning person only struggling on instinct." When Klein heard that, he signed and felt emotions in turmoil. In this world, the only people who understand the Hung Tao, Roselle Gustav, the most were probably the 2 people sitting here. Him and her. Of course, this feeling didn't stop him from sensing that Queen Mystic Bernadette's condition was a little different today. In the past few times they had met, the king's daughter had never said so much, nor did she opened her heart so directly. At most, she would play the tune of music, subtly expressing her sadness. After some thought, Klein pretended not to notice, and he asked, "When did he start changing? Do you think there are any prior warnings or something worth paying attention to?" Queen Mystic Bernadette's deep blue eyes moved slightly as though she had sunken into her trove of memories. After a while, she slowly said, "Not long ago, he proudly said to me, 'Haven't you always wanted to know what's surrounding our moon and other planets?' Haven't you always wanted to know what's surrounding our moon and other planets? In the future, our journey might be towards the sea of stars." What? We're going to space? Wait, like in One Piece, where the biggest theory is we're going to the moon? Wait, I'm sorry. Are we going to the Sea of Stars? The Sea of Stars, what's on the moon and other planets? As Klein pondered over Queen Mystic, holy shit, dude, I'm telling you, the fucking moon is a cocoon. And it's probably like holding everything. Like it's probably holding like the original creator, right? And once like all these fucking Beyonders start like converging, it's gonna like form a bridge or whatever. Oh man, it's gonna be good. What's on the other moon? What's on the other moon? What's on the moon and other planets? As Klein pondered over Queen Mystic's words, he suddenly recalled a key phrase and something. The key word was cosmos. The matter was, Mr. Dor had once told Emperor Rizal that once he had the ability, he can take a look at the moon. That would resolve many of his doubts. The Emperor finally went. The hysterical diary page was written after... Wait, what? The hysterical... I lost my place. That hysterical diary page was written after the exploration attempt. He had unknowingly changed his personality, becoming extreme. Klein recalled the corresponding content under Queen Mystic Bernadette's gaze. He deliberated and said, at your level, you should more or less know that there's corruption coming from the cosmos. Bernadette nodded and didn't pursue the matter. It was as though she knew that Gurmansborough wasn't sure either. She knew that only an angel-level demigod could detect and resist the corruption. After more than 10 seconds of silence, the topic was directed towards Klein reasoning from being here. One of the reasons of this was to become the Loan King George III discovered the 9 secret mausoleums left behind by the Blood Emperor, doing so with the intention of switching to the Black Emperor pathway and becoming a Sequence Zero. As such, he abolished the Grain... Oh, that was his first step, abolishing the Grain Act in Volume 1. Okay. Klein didn't care if Queen Mystic knew anything about these matters. He followed his own pace and roughly told her everything without missing out any key matters. Finally, he said, the Black Emperor doesn't have the ability to revive, but once a new Black Emperor appears, the original entity would perish completely, i.e. Roselle. The original entity had referred to Emperor Rizal, who might have succeeded before being assassinated. Sometimes Klein even suspected that Rizal had intentionally given others a chance, which resulted in him perishing on the spot. This was when he revived from the astral world and regained his uniqueness and absorbed the 3 sequence word characteristics. Really? He would no longer absorb the characteristics of Knowledge Emperor, Arcane Scholar, and the characteristics of another pathway. He could make himself pure, thus free from madness. So, he intentionally gave up his... So, the theory is he intentionally gave up his physical body to recover in like his astral projection or in his spirit body. This was a way to live through death, but the prerequisites was that Rizal ritual had succeeded. He had died during or after the ritual, not before the ritual. Queen Mystic Bernadette took it all in, slowly saying, you want to stop George III? Yes. Klein nodded frankly. Holy shit, dude. Why? Bernadette pressed in an unpursued tone. The corners of Klein's mouth curled up as he smiled. Some ridiculous reasons that aren't worth mentioning. Wow, I can hear Ellie barking like a mad dog. Bernadette's gaze, maybe she's going insane right now. Bernadette's gaze landed on his face for a moment before... I'm going to go check on her right now once I finish this chapter. Bernadette's gaze landed on his face for a moment before she said, that's enough. I'm also doing such things for something that his slim chances on the almost impossible had happened. We can cooperate on stopping George III. Do you guys hear Ellie? We're all ridiculous people. We're all ridiculous people. Remember the ridiculous smile in Volume 1? That's a little subtle now. Now I think about it. We're all ridiculous people. Very bizarre. We're all ridiculous people. Klein sighed and said, I'll give you a method to summon my messenger. All right. Bernadette reached out her right hand and slightly tapped the table. The fountain pen that was originally placed diagonally in front of her suddenly jumped up, and if it was held by an invisible elf before writing fluently on the paper. This is the method needed for summoning my messenger, said Bernadette calmly. Okay. Wait. So now we're summoning Bernadette's messenger. Ellie is hearing some of the true creators rap. You guys can hear Ellie? Damn. So he's finishing today, right? Damn. No, you guys are good. Wait, so he's finishing Volume 6 today. Fuck, man, that's crazy. Fucking well, I guess I have to finish Volume 5 today. How many more chapters have we got? 60? I think we can. Do you think we can do it in 60? Oh, what the fuck? My timestamp is fucked up. I put 2 hours instead of 1 hour on the last chapter. 1 hour, 13 minutes, 55 seconds. Ellie was barking. You guys can hear her, right? Let me go check on her. Okay, let me reread that. His plan was to get rid of every Savant mystery prior potion by dying, resurrecting only with the Black Emperor characteristics. Damn. Really? Wow, okay. Yo, man, tell him fucking good luck, bro. Yo, somebody tell Wiz good luck. Tell him Godspeed, brother. Chapter 1093, as I forget to update this, is called The Angels of the Fool. Oh, that's on type. I'm gonna spill my coffee because I tried chugging it. I'm probably gonna make more coffee after this chapter because you guys saw me yawning right now. The Angels of the Fool. Wait, oh my god, Ellie. Ellie! We'll be taking these chapters slowly easy because you'll be confused by a lot when reading volume 6. All right, we'll take it slow. Okay, I know why Ellie's barking like a crazy dog. Oh man, it's kind of funny. God, Ellie. Sorry, we are gonna have to deal with Ellie barking today. Yeah, we are gonna have to deal with the barking. I know why she's barking. Ellie has good intentions for barking. Yeah, it's okay. No, everything's okay with Ellie, but it's pretty funny. All right, maybe I'll tell you guys maybe later. Maybe. Chapter 1093 is called The Angels of the Fool. Queen Mystic's powers are all very fantastical. No fairy tale alike. Klein glanced at the fountain pen that was writing on its own. He took out a pen and paper from his pocket and wrote the incantations to summon his messenger. He also indicated that each letter deliberately needed the payment of the gold coin. Right on the heels of that, he handed the piece of the paper to Bernadette and took the other party's piece of paper. He quickly scanned through it. An invisible creature that roamed the upper room's realm, a strange spiritual body that is friendly to humans, a messenger that belongs solely to Bernadette Gustave. There's a certain difference between this and a standard incantation. What the fuck is the difference? But it's essentially the same, huh? We can barely hear her. No, sorry. I think she just stopped barking. I think we're good for now. There's a certain difference between this and a standard incantation, but it's essentially the same, huh? Queen Mystic must have deliberately changed it to prevent others from trying to summon the incantation and using the connection between the messenger and the contractor to lock onto herself. For me, it doesn't matter. My messenger is an angel. Only she can threaten others, and no one can threaten her. Even if she were to meet Zaratul, she should have the ability to protect herself and escape. Klein mumbled inwardly and shook the piece of paper, igniting a scarlet red flame. As she looked at the piece of paper turning into a dark ashes amidst the flames, Queen Mystic Bernadette said without emotions, "What are your thoughts regarding the previous of George III's matters?" Having already made some considerations, Klein deliberately spoke slowly. First, don't be rash. Don't take risks that we can't bear. Don't hurt the innocent. If not for the fact that Queen Mystic Bernadette had mentioned earlier that she hated war and hated harming the innocent, Klein wouldn't have said so directly to prevent exposing his weakness. He wouldn't have used a milder and more roundabout method to achieve his goal. Upon hearing this, Bernadette nodded slightly in acknowledgement. You lose your place and have to start the book over? Then there are only 3 possibilities. One is to destroy the ritual at the critical moment and let George III advancement fail. I feel like that's what we'd go for. The second is to attempt an assassination in advance so that he won't be able to hold the ritual. Klein deliberately didn't give his third idea as he first analyzed the viability of the first 2 possibilities. Assassination has extremely slim chance of success. George III, or should I say the one who will become the Black Emperor, should be a sequence 1, so it's not someone we can deal with. Even if he has yet to advance to sequence 1, he will definitely have acted ahead of time. Once he completes the preparations of the ritual and consumes the potion, he will be able to quickly digest and build a foundation for the future. Of course, even if this situation has a slim chance of happening, the person must be at least a sequence 2 level. Furthermore, the Augustus family definitely has no lack of grade 2 zealot artifacts. Together with the protection of bestowment to him, it's impossible for us to succeed. He changed the way he addressed George III from him to him. Wait, from lowercase him to capital case him. After calmly listening to everything, Bernadette seemed to do an assessment. As long as we can create a good opportunity, sequence 2 can also be assassinated, but at least one of us will die, or perhaps the both of us. What she meant was that the grade 0 sealed artifact she wielded was sufficiently powerful, magical, and terrifying. However, if she wanted to fully utilize it, the price paid would be very high. In that case, there really is a chance. That's because I lied just now. If I really have had to give it my all, I could still find Will, Ossipton, Palaz, Ross, and Miss Messenger to help me. I can let them use the yesterday once more charm and recover their normal states for a short period of time. Oh, it's going to be sick. The problem is that I don't know how much of a price needs to be paid or what kind of effects it would have on the situation. I also need to consider if it would end up involving kings of angels like Ouroboros and Amon. Probably. It would be great if Mr. Zik woke up with 4 angels and Queen Mystic Radio Soul Artifact. As long as we create an opportunity, we can even place our sights on a sequence 1. Of course, the chances of failure... Wow, I can't believe... The fact that like Klein is like, oh, I think we can take on a sequence 1. We've come such a long way. Of course, the chances of failure are extremely high since there's no way to sustain it for long. Klein's heart was stirred when he heard that, but he didn't discuss it further. It wasn't that he wasn't willing to be honest during the cooperation efforts, nor was it that he didn't trust Queen Mystic. Instead, Will Ossiton and Palazaros was being pursued, so once their whereabouts were exposed, it was very likely that it would lead to their deaths. This was something that Klein absolutely didn't want to happen. He vaguely said, if assassination attempts is the only solution left, I can invite at least 2 angels to help. He vaguely said, if assassination attempt is the only solution, I can invite at least 2 angels to help. He was referring to the Death Council of Zik and the Snake of Fate, Will Ossiton, who Bernadette already knew of. She could guess that the latter through the drop of the mystical creature's blood. Bernadette was extremely surprised. This is that entity's will. With the consent of the fool, how could his bless seek the help of an angel? He had tactfully agreed to it. Klein spoke the absolute truth. Queen Mystic's blue eyes turned darker. She didn't say another word and only nodded slowly. As for Klein, he brought the topic back on track. The destruction of the ritual might have been relatively simple, but it has to be done at that critical moment. Otherwise, it would only be laying George III's apotheoses. He has already received the tacit consent of the deities, so he isn't concerned about that. Even if the mausoleum is destroyed, it wouldn't take long for him to rebuild it. And it being destroyed at the critical moment will cause him to fail at the advancement and lose control to become a monster. No deity would allow such a creature to roam the world freely. A deity's descent will definitely happen to kill it off. The problem is that with a Kings of Angels reminder and help, George III won't take it lightly. He will definitely arrange for the most secure protective measures. The difficulty might only be lower than the directly killing him. This requires us to gather the intelligence as soon as possible and find an incisive angels to be used. And be it the first line of thought or the second line of thought, it's best that you advance the sequence 2 and advance and become a sage. Bernadette nodded slightly to show that she understood. She then said, what about the third line of thought? Klein was silent for a few seconds before saying, if the ritual was successful, wow, my legs hurt. If the ritual was successful back then and the Emperor had already advanced to sequence 0, then he would still have a chance to revive. As long as we could find the arrangements left behind by the Emperor before George III apotheoses and allow him to return to the plot, George III will fail. He didn't use the word him to refer to result as Bernadette's to avoid exposing his identity. Queen Mystic's eyes clearly flickered before they turned dark and reserved. She opened her mouth slightly and said, I'll hand over the selection diary entry to Catlia. Klein didn't discuss the matter deeply. Instead, he smiled and said, actually, there's still a fourth line of thought. Bernadette's eyes twitched as she expressed her doubts. That's to do nothing, let George III hold a ritual and attempt to become a god while we wait for him to fall. Klein gave a self-deprecating laugh. The higher the sequence, the greater the chance of failure. This was actually the truth, even if there was a script written by Amon's brother where the road to success completely paved, and even if George III had perfectly digested the previous potions, the odds of him successfully advancing become a god didn't exceed 50%. Those are pretty high odds. It's definitely high odds, dude. Of course, what Klein said was just a self-deprecating lie. Yeah, I didn't get much sleep last night, dude. And that one cup of coffee is not doing it, D. I definitely either need more coffee right now or I need that sleepless potion, like, now. Queen Mystic didn't immediately respond. She looked seriously at German Sparrow for a few seconds before saying, the feeling you give off to me just now is different from the previous meetings. I'm taking advice from my psychiatrist, Klein Small, describing himself as a very serious mental patient. Without another word, Bernadette retracted her gaze and looked at the fountain pen lying on a table. Then let's gather the corresponding information and maintain communications through the letter. At this point, she paused for a moment before speaking again. Her gaze remained unchanged. Actually, I'm wondering if he might have already been resurrected. It's just that he's still finding his past self. I'm not sure what details the Black Emperor's resurrection entails. I wonder if he will really choose the Black Emperor in the end. What do you mean if he will really choose the Black Emperor in the way? That's literally what he's picking. Bernadette's voice gradually became ethereal and carried an indescribable feeling. As Klein listened, he suddenly understood what Queen Mystic was thinking or expecting. She suspected that the fool was the... What? She suspected that the fool was the resurrected Roselle, suspecting that Emperor had fooled everyone in the past. In fact, he had never thought of switching to the Black Emperor pathway. Instead, he had chosen another pathway. Wow, that'd be so fucking crazy and rad if this whole fucking time Klein was Roselle, but like, and this is like a prerequisite to be the fool. Like you have to. Oh my God, you have to fool yourself. Like, what's the best way to act if you fool yourself? As such, he needed to find himself by seeking out his past diary pages and cards of blasphemy. Wow, that'd be so fucking trippy. Unfortunately, I'm just Uncle Zoe He just called himself an Unk. I'm just Uncle Zoe from next door. Klein originally wanted to say something cheekily, but his emotions gradually turned staid, making it difficult for him to force himself to relax. Without saying anything, he stood up, bowed, put on his hat, and left the room. After closing the door to the Golden Theater room and taking 2 steps forward, he suddenly heard a tranquil and melodious tune. This melody was ethereal and carried with it a faint sense of melancholy. After pausing for a few seconds, Klein turned towards the hall and left with flaming jump. City of Silver, a team gathering at the city gate, was about to set off. Roselle outsmarted every outsmarting. I think the best way to outsmart every outsmarting is if you outsmart yourself, right? Like, you outsmart the outsmarter. This was the team that was headed for the afternoon town to prepare for the expiration of the giant kick score. Oh, she's gonna go down here. Derek Berg was standing in the middle and was the second shortest person. In his hand was a bronze cross with sharp spikes. To his side were Joshua and Haim, but they were preparing to receive the unshotted crucifix at times to prevent Derek Bionic characteristics from being purged. This sealed artifact required 3 people to take turns to resist the negative effects, so they take turns. As he looked down at the creator's relic, he suddenly felt something looking at him. He subconsciously looked up and saw that it was a member of the 6-member council, Shepherd Elder Lovia. Well, look who it is. The woman who was the shortest in the group had long, silver, and slightly curled hair. She was looking at the ancient modeled unshotted crucifix with her pale gray eyes. Her gaze seemed to be blazing hot. Upon sensing Derek's gaze, this shepherd elder lips twitched, revealing an indescribable smile. This is the Lord's item. Oh, shit. For some reason, Derek shivered. Then he heard the chief calling Iliad say, let's set off. Oh, shit. All right, next chapter. Breakthrough point. What is this breakthrough point we're talking about here? Let's do this timestamp, man. Oh, wow. I need coffee. I think I need like a monster or something, man. What the fuck? Lovia be like, oh yeah, that's exactly what she's doing right now. Give me a sec. Oh, it's because the word is really long. It doesn't fit right there. I was like, why doesn't it fit? I was like, why doesn't it fit? All right, let me sip my coffee, and let's keep reading. Oh, man. I think I need to put on my fucking glasses, man. It's getting hard to see. Oh, man. Woo! Give me a sec. Where the fuck are the glass? Where are my other glasses I was using the other day? Give me a sec. I can't find my glasses from last stream. No, definitely not these. This one is like an old prescription. Give me a sec. Let me see how these feel. Fuck! I dropped my water. Ah. Oh, found them. Actually, I found them. They're right here. Oh, that's better. Oh, now it's not so blurry from a distance. That's better. I don't think you guys can see the chapter, right? No. Easy, need monocle. I definitely need a monocle. Definitely. Need that shit ASAP, bro. Alright. Monocles. My two monocles have now been combined to form glasses. Breakthrough point. In a small alley in the Backland Bridge area, Shio once again met with MI9 staff responsible for contacting her. Did I do my timestamps? Yes. Recording? Yes. For contacting her, this is reward for exchanging your merit points, a total of 2,500 pounds. Huh. I hope you get another 500 pounds. The golden masked man threw a bludgeoning envelope at Shio. Shio caught it accurately and didn't count. She instinctively pressed down and sincerely said, thank you. The golden masked man waved his hand and said, there's no need to thank me. This is also a good thing for me. If you continue to harp on past matters without letting go, I'm very worried that I'll go to the military court one day. Are you still going to stay in Backland? Yes, I'm away. Yes, I'm already used to living in the big city. When the war stops, I'll bring my family here, Shio said, having already made up her mind. Wait for the war to stop. The golden masked man repeated Shio's words with a slightly odd tone. He smiled and said, may the Lord bless us to live until the end of the year. Oh, until the end of the war? Here, the Lord referred to the Lord of Storms. I believe in the goddess, Shio replied seriously. You understand what I mean? The golden masked man waved his hand and said, are you still planning to take the missions from MI9? I won't reject an opportunity to earn money. Shio scraped her slightly coarse hair and said with half-truths. Yes, the golden masked man nodded and said, the main thing to take note of during the war is to deal with spies from all over the world. If there's a subtle mission for you, I'll take a look for you. Alright, Shio replied without staying any longer. She cautiously and carefully retreated out of the dark alley. Wow, my ears keep popping. Retreated out of the dark alley. After watching her figure disappear, the golden masked man looked at the shadows in the corner and said, she will likely be used to some particular faction. She was abandoned after she stopped investigating the matter. In the shadows in the corner, a deep voice sounded. On the surface, it looked like that, but there's no need to pursue or to worry about the truth. Even if she can figure out the truth and spread it, it will not affect His Majesty's matters. Huh, the Church of the Evernight has already tactfully agreed. Thank you for the best. The golden masked man solemnly exhaled. After returning to his residence at the edge of the East Borough, Shield said to Forrest, who was sitting by the bed and reading the newspapers, I received 2,500 pounds. Forrest put down the newspaper, her eyes moving slightly as she focused on making calculations. That's enough. Shio had saved up more than 6,000 pounds, and with the 2,500, other than her necessary expenses, she had 3,100 pounds to spend freely. Look at that, man. She's fucking stacked, dude. After her purchase of the Judge Potion Formula was 2,000 pounds, and the Beyonder's characteristic was 3,500 pounds. In other words, she's still short of 2,400 pounds, something that Forrest could lend her. After borrowing this sum of money, Forrest savings would be reduced to 780 pounds. However, this didn't affect her at all. She had the subsequent potion formula and main ingredient, so she didn't have many expenditures for a long period of time into the future. Occasionally, she could earn money from renting out layman's travels. Yes, Shio nodded. All complete the transaction as soon as possible and strive to advance the sequence 6 as soon as possible. Seeing that her friend's matters was settled, Forrest turned to worry about herself. Why about herself? I don't know when my scribe potion will be completely digested. Now that war has broken out, it will be much safer with the ability to travel. The crux of a scribe is definitely recording. When I become a judge, you'll have a new beyond powers to repeatedly record. This should be able to speed up the digestion of the potion. Shio pulled a chair over and sat down, Foresight. I suspect that other than recording the beyond powers, I need to record down the sights and customs of different places. Only then can it be matched with a subsequent traveler sequence. But with war having broken out now, it's fine if I go further inland, but it will be difficult and dangerous. Yeah, what the fuck? No. If I go somewhere outside, the price of bread is rising. The price of 1 pound of bread has risen by a farthing. It's even more expensive than before the Grain Act was abolished. Indeed, Shio thought seriously and agreed with For's conclusion. The two fell silent. After about 10 seconds, Shio suddenly had an idea. Actually, there's a very simple solution. What? For sat up slightly and asked, you can spend money to hire this person to take you traveling. You can spend money to hire that person to take you traveling. She was very careful not to mention the specific code names and actual names. You can be thrown somewhere unfamiliar each time for 3 to 4 days or even a week. Then you wouldn't take long to record all kinds of customs and traditions. Besides, you can rent out mystical items from them to record beyond her powers. This can both improve your strength and help your digestion. Oh, wow, she's fucking smart. That's right. For's eyes lit up when she heard that. Only then did she realize that her usage of the tarot gathering was very superficial. After a pleasant surprise, For's gradually frowned. This method meant that she had to frequently deal with the world of Grim and Sparrow, and thought of the crazy adventure and left her trembling. Indeed, there's nothing that doesn't require a price to digest the potion. I only need to take the risk. Finally, Force made up her mind and made the request at the next tarot gathering. An apartment several streets away from where Shio and Force stayed. After returning from the Strenzo restaurant, Klein was sitting in front of a table. He quickly flipped through today's newspapers and summarized the important information he had received. The Fasek Empire Sonia Sea fleet had retreated from Prince Harbor. Their whereabouts are unknown. The Ministry of Defense, Admiral Ramirez, had indicated that he will strengthen the coastal defenses and allow the 3 ironclad warships fleets to not return too hastily, and will take detours to avoid being ambushed. Fasek's 2-headed giant army invaded the wintry country, Amantha, mountain range, and suffered intense resistance. They failed to pass through the few strongholds. Fasek's subjugation fleet attacked Constant and other large-scale industrial cities along the Mitzi Shire's eastern coast. There was a large-scale sea battle with the kingdom's Mitzi Shire fleet. Both sides suffered losses. East Balam's Fasek and the Lowen colonies and armies are fighting in multiple locations. The rest of the countries have yet to make their stance clear, and the corresponding capital, the ambassador, are running around to contact each other to have emergency diplomatic meetings. The electrical transmission waves contain all kinds of important news and are entering with each other in different cities of the northern and southern continents. We are still in early stages of the war. Klein didn't believe in the diplomats that were able to avert the war. He put down the newspaper and thought about how he could gather information regarding George III, Black Emperor's ritual. According to normal logic, before the Blood Emperor Lisa Tudor went crazy, he did it in a reasonable manner. That is to say, he couldn't build all 9 mausoleums in the same hidden area. This would have been easy for others to wipe them out of all at once, causing his resurrection to fail. Yeah. Therefore, in the surrounding areas of Backland, and other parts of the kingdom, there should be 8 other mausoleums that are similar. They haven't been exposed yet, so there might not be as heavy guards as ruins number 1. This might give us an opportunity. I wonder if one is like hidden within Chanis Gate, or like within a Chanis Gate, and that's how we're hiding them. This might give us an opportunity. Perhaps a Red Angel evil spirit might know something, but I can't contact him now. Ignoring the question of whether chanting his honorific name will be dangerous, just the act alone will expose my intention to prevent George III from becoming the Black Emperor. Oh, why he can't even do that? Because then George would know. To terrifying conspire, there are too many points that can be exploited. Queen Mystic might have some channels and clues, but I can't just rely on her. At that moment, the church doesn't know many of the Blood Emperor's secret ruins there are, or where they are. Attacking a key figure beside the king, such as a demigod from the royal family who is deeply involved in this matter, they must be on their guard. Furthermore, the angel of the Augustus family and the other ancient secret organizations would most likely be watching everything, one in the open, one in the dark. In addition, as long as the royal family demigods end up in an ancient George III would definitely guess that someone is trying to stop him from becoming a god. Yes, Demoness of White Katarina will be easier to deal with when the demigods of the royal family. It would attract a lot less attention. We gotta steal him back. No, it's cool, dude. He's finishing volume 6 today. I get it. No, it's cool, dude. It would attract much less attention, but that was fucking funny. Wiz is like, come on. He stole him. He stole all of them. Yes, Demoness of the White Katarina will be easier to deal with the demigods of the royal family. It would attract much less attention. Oh, that's so funny, dude. It would attract much less attention. Theoretically speaking, George III, who had tactfully accepted the few major churches, no longer need to work with the demonist sect. Not that there's a need for that. If not for some particular reason, the two sides would have been completely tied together in this matter. The first thing he needs to do now is to cut off the ties with the demonist sect. Of course, he would most likely not betray the demonist sect directly. On the one hand, the demonists are also adept at ploys, so it wouldn't be unwary. On the other hand, if the anger of the upper echelons of the demonist sect, George Black Emperor's ritual would... I cut it out. We took out the third. For real? We need to remove the 3-letter. George the third? Yeah, no, I took it out. The George, so instead of say George the third, just George 3. George Black Emperor's ritual might not be the safe. This is a secret organization with a true deity, grade 0 sealed artifacts, and angels. As long as George III is rationale, the correct method is to follow up the agreement and give everything that needs to be given. Then he will send the members of the demonist sect away. During this process, he will use the help of angels from the mind domain or even a king of angels to erase his key memories or the demonist sect participating in a manner. Damn. If that's the case, even a demoness of White Katarina goes missing for some time, it wouldn't alter George III. He might not know. He might not even know. And from the perspectives of the demonist sect, the matter had come to an end. The various churches have all tactfully agreed to it. They no longer need to hide like they did in the past and can move about freely. This gives me and Queen Mystic a chance. Yes, Vice Admiral Ailment will likely appear again. For her appearance and the attitude of Demoness of the White from back then, it can be determined that she and Katarina are related by blood. Vice Admiral Ailment will likely appear again. From her appearance and the attitude of Demoness of White from back then, it can be determined that she and Katarina are related by blood, okay? With this in mind, inclined to heave the sigh of relief, he cast his gaze out the window and slightly muttered, I hope Anderson and the Nits can find the Pirate Admiral as soon as possible. I hope the City of Miracles and Grizel's travels can effectively destroy the influence of the mind domain. He is being a little too hopeful, and all he can do now is just wait patiently. Berserk Sea, Theros Island. The Nits said to Anderson and Delight, I just learned that the southern region of this place isn't a normal sea route. There's an island with no resources, but is hidden enough. All right. Next chapter. He's going to finish in 45 hours. Sheesh, he's going to be reading a lot. You can join the stream after you finish yours. I'm sure nothing is wrong with listening in for a little. Only one way to find out, right, guys? Like, hell no. Like, someone's going to slip up. Someone's going to slip up. Chat slips up or he slips up. I don't know. I don't think we should risk that. I'm just doing my timestamp. 1 hour 18. Mm. 1,095. Damn. 77% done with the series. Chapter 1095, acting as himself. What are we going to read today? You suspect that Vice Admiral Ailment Fleets is hiding there. Anderson shook. Anderson asked and thought when he heard the Nits' words. The Nits replied in excitement. It's very likely. Didn't the Black Death vanish after steering towards the west and leaving the Theros Island? Anderson curled his lips and chuckled. If the Vice Admiral Ailment whereabouts were so easily discovered by you, why would she need to hide? How can the islands that you find about to be considered hidden? Hey, what do you mean by that? The Nits fell silent as he was mocked. Anderson shrugged. I don't mean anything. I'm just using my brain to analyze it. The island should exist, but it either belongs to the type that many people here know about, or it's intel that someone deliberately released. If it's the former, Vice Admiral Ailment Trace felt definitely would be hiding there. If it's the latter, then it would be interesting. Who would release this intel? The Nits was still a little angry at first, but later he began analyzing Anderson's line of thought. A trap set up by some pirates or adventurers. However, an island without any resources isn't enough to lure others into exploring it. Vice Admiral Ailment itself, to figure out who's investigating her whereabouts. Oh, I scrolled down too much. Wait, I scrolled up or down. Investigating her whereabouts. That's right. After my teaching, you've improved quite a bit. Otherwise, I suspect that even if you drink the Conspirer potion, you would be able to enhance your brain. You'll only mutate an ability which turns your enemy stupid, bringing him down to a level in which you're familiar with, and then defeat him with experience. I didn't say that. It was Emperor Rizzo. After the period of searching, Anderson had already helped the Nits obtain one of the main ingredients of the Conspirer potion and nearly all supplementary ingredients. He was just one step away from success. I suspect that you have such an ability, the Nits muttered softly in response. Anderson ignored him and continued, a Vice Admiral Element got someone to release the news herself. The secret island must be the secret island must be a trap. Perhaps there's nothing other than a mirror that monitors the ship of humans that approach the island, or perhaps it might be important and might be an important gathering base of the demonist sect that German Sparrow mentioned. Then what should we do next? The Nid subconsciously asked. Anderson chuckled when he heard that. You can even figure out such a simple matter. Naturally, we'll seek out the person you heard this intel from. After finding the source of information, we can trace it back, as well as eventually finding something. That's right. The Nits wanted to nod in agreement, but the words that reached out of his mouth turned into a heh. Nearing dawn on the other floor of the casino, Bratz was with his brown hair yawned and walked into the room. Before he can use the moonlight outside the window to light the candle, he suddenly saw a bright white flame light up in front of him, memorably blinding him. Bart's heart tightened as he pounced to the side and rolled. After rolling twice, he suddenly stopped his actions, as though he had been petrified. This was because there was a bone-chilling coldness and a slight pain around his neck. This made him have no doubt if he produced any further, blood would definitely spray onto the roof. What do you want? At this moment, Bart's vision had recovered. He was a blond man with one hand in his pocket and a black short sword in the other. Beside him was a man wearing a black coat that covered half of his face with a hood. The Nits... Damn, that's sick. The Nits didn't answer Bart's question as he looked at Anderson in surprise. Why didn't you disguise yourself? If you disguise yourself, how can you let others know who to hate? Anderson replied with a nonchalant look. That's a good way to live. If you disguise yourself, how can you let others know who to hate? The Nits exhaled. Thankfully, I haven't been infected by this crappy habit of yours. It's fine, Anderson said with a smile. At any random person on this island can know who I've been hanging out with. Dog shit, the Nits cursed. Bartz, who had Anderson's sword at his neck, didn't dare to move. All he could do was listen quietly. He felt as though he was returning to the trier and was watching a comical scene. What are the two of them here for? The intelligence peddler was deeply puzzled. At that moment, Anderson retracted his gaze and looked down at Bartz. Who told you about the secret island to the southwest of the DVTs from the main sea route? Bart suddenly came to realization as he looked at the Nits. It's you. In the past few days, this information had only been sold to one person. I was recognized so quickly, the Nits was momentarily at a loss as to how to respond. Anderson slightly lowered his pitch-black short sword in his hand, making the stabled pain even more obvious. Please respect the order of what is to come and follow. Bart immediately felt as though his life was rapidly slipping away. He hurriedly replied, it was the Vice Admiral Elements. When did she tell you? What did she tell you? Anderson asked without any surprise. The night before the Black Death left Treasure Island, Bart replied quickly, after he would die from excessive blood loss. I didn't ask her why. Back then, I was only focused on admiring her beauty. She lives up to being the infamous element maiden of the Five Seas. Even after a long time, Bartz couldn't hide his admiration of her. Even when he recalled her while being in extreme danger, and my legs are so sore right now, dude. Is this the charm of a demoness? Anderson muttered to himself before asking, do you have a way to contact her? No, Bartz quickly shook his head and said, she told me to take note of everyone who asks about her whereabouts. I'll tell her when she returns to Thurstal Island, and if anyone leaves the port after obtaining information of the secret island, they shall be left alone to leave freely. Is that so? Very reasonable. Very reasonable indeed. Anderson nodded, and without the short pitch black sword, is there a trap? I don't know either, Bartz replied frankly. Anderson didn't say a word as he scratched for the money on Bart's person in the room. Then he pointed to the intelligence peddler with his short sword. So he points at, I want to kill you, but no one will hate me if that's the case. Likewise, curse me a few more times every day. He then turned around and walked to the Nit's side and jumped down the window with him. Dispersing into the dark, unlit night, Bratz touched his bleeding neck and stood up in fear. He ran to the window and confirmed that the two of them had disappeared. Thankfully, I met a guy with a mental problem. If not, I would be dead today. He closed the window and looked at the wooden door, and after carefully inspecting the room, he finally sat down and gulped down the half bottle of Lanty-proof. In his tiny tipsy state, Bartz collapsed open onto the bed and fell asleep. Time ticked by slowly until it was 3 in the morning. Suddenly, Bartz flipped over and sat up. His eyes were bright and spirited, and he didn't even feel like the slightest bit drunk. He found a dagger and pried open a wooden floor in the room. He took out a thumb-sized ball of paper. After a while, people unfolded layer by layer. There was a sticky black object in the middle. After taking a quarter of the blob, Bartz walked to the mirror in the room and was about to smear it. At this moment, he saw two figures reflected in the mirror. One of them was wearing a white... Is the other Trissy? Well, if we're looking at the mirror and we see another person's reflection, probably not, right? One of them was wearing a white shirt and a black vest with... No, definitely not. I'm like, and then Trissy shows up. No, definitely not. One of them was wearing a white shirt and a black vest with one of his hands in his pockets and the other carrying a short sword. The other wore a black cloak and didn't reveal his face. Just as Barrett's pupils dilated, the nits punched the back of his head, causing him to faint. And his final memory was a voice with a smiling tone. He really didn't disappoint. After dealing with Bartz, the nits bent down to pick up the sticky substance that fallen from the ground. He chuckled and said, "This fellow actually believed you. He believed that you didn't kill him because you wanted him to hate you." Do a face reveal of 3,881 subscribers. A face reveal? What do you mean a face reveal? This is me, man. This is me. I lost my place. This fellow actually believed you. He believed that you didn't kill him because you wanted him to hate you. The conversation he had with Anderson was actually a rehearsed play. It was to make it reasonable for Anderson to let Bartz go without being suspected. This means that you acted sufficiently well, Anderson said with a smile. It's truly different when you're acting as yourself. Dog shit. The nits cursed without any qualms. He then sighed. I didn't expect him to be so patient. He waited past midnight before he took action, but we were more patient. If a hunter wants to capture his prey, he has to be patient. Sometimes he can wait a few more days. Anderson replied to the two of them, there was actually nothing they could do, be it a hunter and provoker, pyromantic and reaper. None of them were good at mediumships, much less having the ability to hypnotize others. In order to obtain information other than interrogating and threatening others, they had to work hard on scheming. This is very reasonable, but in the future, it will become the words I use to school others. The nits looked at the black sticky blob in his hand and said, "It seems like it should be applied on the surface of the mirror before contacting Vice Admiral Ailment. There should be the case, however. What's the point even if we contact her? Are we going to ask her out on a date to join us for breakfast for the Theros Island, Anderson mocked. The nits knew that Anderson was unable to influence the other person in the mirror. All he instinctively wanted to do was do something more so as to better complete the task that German Sparrow assigned him. Let us see. He frowned slightly and said that we shall do next. I know. Hey, I got just the face for you guys right here. I'll show you my real face right now. Let me grab it. Of course, if it's to contact German Sparrow, let him handle the aftermath. This fellow is very mysterious. Face reveal. This fellow is very mysterious in every aspect, so he should have a way to resolve it. Anderson said with a tisk. Besides the mission he gave us is to seek out Vice Admiral Ailman's whereabouts, and there are results already now. The nits acknowledged and began taking on the candles and other items for the ritual. What are you doing? Anderson shook with an odd expression. The nits set up an altar without looking back. Summoning German Sparrow Messenger, Anderson fell silent for a few seconds before saying, "I'll get out a smoke first." Why, hello. He's back. Kaysen is back, bro. He's back. Timestamp. Let me do my timestamp. I'm gonna read a whole fucking chapter like this now. I'm gonna see how serious I can be. I'm gonna do a whole fucking chapter like this. It'd be fucking funny. 1096. Damn, I think we're on a good roll so far. Give me a sec. One sec. Let me quickly check my phone. Give me a sec. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna probably do a 2-part stream. Let me stop at 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me stop at 1099. Yeah, let's go one more hour. Probably. When my parents went to Japan, they brought home a Luffy version of this. Really? Dude, I miss Japan, man. I miss it, man, from the bottom of my heart. Like, something's coming up right now. But I want to see if I can delay it. Damn. We might have to do like a... Yeah, we're probably are going to have to do a 2-part stream. Fuck, man. Shit. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, we're probably gonna have to do a 2-part stream. Let me just updates for now. Let's see how far I can go. Fuck. Let me just do one more chapter. I'm probably gonna have to end stream at least for a little bit. I have to go out and grab something right now. Ah man, I'm fucking bummed out now. I'll probably come back in a little bit, like an hour or two. All right, let's see. First, let me see what happens. Let's read one more chapter. I'm gonna read one more chapter. I'm gonna end stream and then I'll come back. I apologize. My bad, guys. Let's do this. You guys ready? Are you guys ready though? Bro keeps missing me. No. You should start a stream one day wearing a fake mustache and not say anything about it, or just wear like a full beard. Oh, that'd be fucking funny. Yeah, like just wear random shit on stream and like don't even elaborate. Unhinged. That'd be actually funny, dude. You will have like 5 years if you stream while Wiz is in the final few chapters. I know, it's okay. I mean, I'm only doing it so I can like catch up. Well, not catch up. I'm only doing it so I can be consistent. That way I don't keep you guys waiting too much. And then I upload all the VODs. Like I upload all of the videos, right? So I think it's fine, right? Even if we only have a few, because I know he's reading it. Yeah, my bad. But here, let's read one more for now. All right, you guys ready? Chapter 1096 is called Cooperation. At just past 6 in the morning, the entirety of Backland remained in the dark. It's very quiet, with most areas being illuminated only by the street lamps. Wearing his pajamas, Klein sat on the bed and looked at Miss Messenger, who was carrying foreheads. He rubbed his temples and asked helplessly, "Who sent the letter? Who couldn't he have good?" Did I update this? Yes, I did. Who sent the letter? Who couldn't have he had a good night's rest? The three heads in Renette Tanker's hands replied one by one, "That's particular brainless. Servant of yours, the Nets he prayed in the middle of the night in the past, and now he's sending the letter in the morning." Klein took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Following that, he received the letter from Miss Messenger. When he opened it, his expression gradually turned solemn. This was because the Nitz and Anderson discovered the Vice Admiral Element Trace's location and was extremely untimely. According to Klein's instructions, it wouldn't take long for the Pirate Admiral, the Demoness of White Katrina, to regain their freedom. They wouldn't be hiding much, making it easier to find them. Now that they have to deal with the intelligence of Peddler Bart's and obtain the items to contact Tracy for him, the greatest possibility was that they had frightened the target and made her continue hiding. Of course, Klein could seek the help of Queen Mystic Bernadette to find a way to lock onto Vice Admiral Ailment through the mirror. However, the problem was that he suspected that the target's hiding place was an important stronghold of the demoness sect. It might even be the headquarters where the Grade Zero sealed artifact, where there were Grade Zero sealed artifacts. This way, even if he had confirmed the whereabouts of the Traces, he wouldn't dare to teleport over to capture her. Hence, any contact would alert the Pirate Admiral. And if he didn't take the opportunity to contact her, regardless of whether Prince Harbor was dead or alive, the news would spread after daybreak. Similarly, Traces would be on guard. Seriously, however, this was also because Anderson and the Nits doesn't know the truth. They don't know the change in the situation of Lowen Kingdom. After some thought, he said to Miss Messenger, who was waiting by the side, "Wait for me, I'll write a reply." He had originally planned to teleport over directly to decide what to do next, but after some consideration, he still chose to write a letter. Although he believed that Zaratul wouldn't waste any time on an obvious bait like the Nit, he still felt silent for what he had to be more careful of. If Zaratul didn't do so, I'm reading wrong. If Zaratul didn't do so, it didn't mean that the member of the secret order under him would be the same. Such a huge secret organization definitely had a few demigods at the saint level. Once he got entangled by the other party, it would be a huge problem. All right, the head carried by Renette Tanker had failed to speak previously and rushed to answer first. Klein got out of bed, walked out of the bedroom, and came to the room outside. He took out a pen and paper and wrote fluently. "Think of a way to make Bart's faint until dawn, and then leave his room immediately and stay far away. This is a great danger lurking there. Monitor Bart's again and wait daybreak arrives, but don't alarm him." The so-called danger was half-truth, and his main goal was to get Anderson and the Nits to leave the scene so as to draw away any possible spying. Putting down the pen and looking through it again, he folded the letter and handed it to his messenger, Renette Tanker, who had followed him out. At 3:10 in the morning in the Berserk Sea, Theros Island, Bart's room. I thought I said Bart's son. Bart's room. The Nits had just finished cleaning the altar and wiping away the traces when he saw the terrifying messenger with 4 blonde heads. German Sprout actually didn't come. The Nits reached out to receive the letter in surprise, so he took out a gold coin for the messenger. After the figure with 4 heads and a dark, complicated long dress disappeared into the void, he opened the letter and quickly read through it. "There's danger," the Nits pupils dilated as he rushed towards the door as though he was being burned in the ass. After leaving the room, he said to Anderson, who was standing in the corridor with his back against the wall and an unlit cigarette in his mouth, Quick, let's go. It's very dangerous here. The German sparrows say that Anderson was taken aback as he asked thoughtfully, yes, how do you know? Couldn't it be that I discovered something? Denise replied instinctively, yeah, you. Yeah, huh. Anderson chuckled and asked rather relaxed, what else did he say? Aren't you nervous? German sparrow is very reliable on such matters. Denit's focus was completely off. Anderson fell silent for a moment before saying, his messenger is more reliable. At least within the few minutes of his messenger's return trip, there won't be any danger. If there really was any danger lurking there, they would silently shrink back when they saw the messenger. Denitz originally wanted to reply that it may seem to be so in terms of our image, but for some reason he instinctively gave up on that sentence. He switched to saying German sparrow also said to let Bart's pass on until dawn so that he can monitor him again when sun rises without exposing ourselves. Anderson frowned. What does he want to do? There won't be any latent dangers anymore once the sun rises. Without waiting for Denitz to respond, the strongest hunter of the Foxy, the Foxy turned around and entered the room. He took out a small metal bottle that he carried with him and pulled out the stopper. He placed it at the tip of the Bart's nose and moved it back and forth. It's done. Let's go. Anderson didn't hide his curiosity as he surveyed the area before leading Denitz out of Bart's room and walked as far into the distance. Backland Emperor's Borough inside the Hall family luxurious mansion. At 7:25 in the morning, Audrey suddenly woke up from her dream. She dreamed of the boundless gray fog and dreamed of the world German sparrow asking her to help hypnotize someone, making the target forget everything that had happened in the past 6 hours, as well as to help people who ask about a particular secret island. This is something that can be used as contributions needed for the manipulator potion formula and beyond characteristics. Also, Mr. World said that he would donate 7,000 pounds for the war efforts. Audrey got out of bed very lightly and put a teal cloak over her white nightgown. Following that, she followed German Sparrow's instructions, set up a ritual, praying for Mr. Fool's bestowment. The illusionary door quickly took shape and opened, sending 3 items flying out and landing on the altar. One of them was a thin human skin glove, other than the instructional manual, on a piece of paper, and the other was a neat stack of cash that wasn't tied up. This is creeping hunger. Audrey scrutinized the altar and thanked Mr. Fool. Then she put on the glove and said, according to instructional manual, activating the spirit of the traveler, when the glove turned transparent, the 12 sacred angels with fiery wings suddenly appeared in front of her. That's badass. This is the angel's embrace that Mr. World has requested. Its effective is to interfere with the divination and prophecy powers of the scene, so as to ensure that my identity won't be exposed. Audrey's eyes darted around as she changed the lie accessory, which she had already prepared, into a silver necklace, and she wore it on her face. Following that, she followed the coordinates given by the world German Sparrow and began the teleportation step. During this process, the strange scenery of the spirit world and all kinds of strange creatures left a deep impression on her. However, before she could carefully observe them, she arrived at the destination. She saw that the colors were saturated and stacked scenes rapidly faded away. Becoming normal, it was still late at night outside. It feels like I have recovered my feeling and mood from them. When I first encountered the mysterious world, Audrey analyzed her mental state and focused her attention on the target lying on the floor in the room where she was in. It was an unconscious man. The door to his body of heart and mind was rather weak, meaning that he was someone who could easily be charmed, even if it didn't evolve beyond her powers. So even without beyond her powers, he could easily be charmed? That's funny. Hypnotizing such a target wasn't difficult for Audrey. However, in order to digest the potion, she decided to use dreams to help with the hypnosis. The unconscious Bart had a dream. He dreamed of a blurry female figure. In his dream, he believed that she was the most beautiful woman in the world, a perfect state that Vice Admiral Ailman Tracy could achieve. Bart wildly chased her down and ran back and forth in the wilderness, hills, and mountains. However, he couldn't help but catch up her, as though he had left behind something very important. After an unknown period of time, he woke up from exhaustion and slowly recalled what had happened last night. He was in a bad mood because of him losing memory. He had fallen drunk after drinking only by half a bottle of Lanty Proof. Up to now, his temples were still throbbing in pain. I even knocked the back of my head. Bart rubbed the swollen area and lumbered back to the head. He fell into it and continued sleeping. And for Audrey, he had completed a milder form of hypnosis with the Dreamwalker's powers. She had long followed the world Gurmispar's instructions and restored the scene completely, leaving nothing suspicious behind. This was the ability of a senior spectator. Then she teleported back to Backland and sacrificed creeping hunger to Mr. Full. The entire process didn't cause much of a stir. The Church of the Evernight Beyonders in charge of protecting the Hall family were completely unaware. After dealing with all kinds of traces, Audrey pulled a bell and let out the maidservants waiting outside enter. Her personal maidservant Annie gestured for the other maidservants to get busy as she said to Audrey, Miss, there's a piece of news from the Bercy Foundation. What news? Audrey interpreted the shock, confusion, and disbelief, joy, and curiosity in Annie's tone. Annie replied quickly that Miss Eudora, who needs to have her leg amputated, has completely recovered. Full recovery. It is as though she was never injured. This is a medical miracle. Audrey was similarly stunned. She had some guesses, but she didn't dare to confirm them. She lacked sufficient clues and evidence. Also, all the patients with serious medical conditions have fully recovered. At this point, Annie couldn't control herself. She lowered her voice and said, I heard that there was a ghost wandering around. Half of its face was mushrooms growing all over, while the other half was covered in weeds. It ate illnesses, traumas, and grief. I don't know if it's true, but it's scary. Mushrooms, weeds. Audrey repeated the 2 words momentarily out of loss. That's a good cliffhanger. That's a good way to finish. That's cool, dude. One sec. Let me do overall thoughts before I forget. That's cool, man. Wow, look at that. I had like 20 spaces. Look at all the extra space I had for my timestamps. That's all right. We're going to end, but we'll come back hopefully later today. I'm going to go out for a bit, but we should be back. I know I won't be able to stream much tomorrow. I kind of want to stream tomorrow because I know it's a blood moon tomorrow. Take guess what chapter I'm on. 700. 700, bro. Damn it. That's kind of bizarre. A little bizarre. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up this part of the war arc. I do find it cool, though, that now it's like he's using life's cane to like heal people in the hospital, but at the same time he's acting as a bizarre sorcerer. So the thing I find cool, acting as a bizarre sorcerer doesn't imply that you have to hurt people. You can scare them, you can heal them, you can do whatever you want as long as you're acting bizarre and it feels like something a sorcerer or it's like something involves sorcery and mysticism. I love that. So like he can digest in so many ways. Like he digested when he was scaring the shit out of that fucking demigod when they were at the docks. That was fucking cool. And then he's over here healing people, he's treating the weak. I love it. I think this might be a really damn good arc. And I mean, not only do I think it's going to be a good arc, I'm kind of scared. I'm actually kind of scared. I'm scared for Klein. I'm scared for Benson. I'm scared for Melissa. I'm scared for everybody in the Terror Club. But the thing I do find cool, I'm pretty sure there's going to come a point where like, well, we saw Force. For Force to act, she's probably going to have to be following Gurman for a little bit to digest her potion. So I think she's going to be following along. She's going to better understand Klein. I'm scared for Shio because she's still in Backland, and it's like she's in the clear now, but like even still, man, there's so many Terror Club members I'm kind of worried for now. Trissy has got to join like now, bro. It's gonna be a good war. Long story short, D, it's gonna be a good war, but I'm scared. I'm scared. I am scared. I'll tell you that. That being said, though, peace. Have an amazing day. And yes, we will hopefully, surely, most likely come back later today for another 3-ish hours, 2 to 3-ish hours. I'm hoping. Half class full. That being said, though, peace. Have an amazing day. And I will potentially see you guys soon. All right. Later, guys. Have a good day.